Seam heads. Our Giants game day coverage begins now.
It's the mosaic.
So before gloves start popping,
diving, he makes the catch,
and bats start cracking,
it is gone.
We bring you the voice of Bay Area baseball for the past 29 years.
As I always say, baseball reflects what life is all about.
This is Talkin' Baseball with Marty Laurie.
That's what we do. We talk ball.
On KNBR, the sports leader.
Talking baseball on this Sunday morning as we get ready for Game 2 between the Giants and the Oakland Athletics from the Oakland Coliseum, and this will be it. This is the last time the San Francisco Giants will be playing the Oakland Athletics at this Oakland Coliseum. That is it, as this franchise is going to be moving on, and it's just a tragedy that is happening, and we're going to talk about that today. But this is the last game between the Giants and the Oakland Athletics. As I said yesterday, San Francisco, Oakland baseball, of course, the big leagues, 1968, the A's came here from Kansas City. The Giants are already here 10 years, coming in 1958 from New York, and had really established themselves in the market. But when you go back, the Pacific Coast League, the San Francisco Seals and the Oakland Oaks were in existence going back to the early 1900s. And they would play games in Oakland in the morning and San Francisco in the afternoon. And it was a tremendous part of the baseball fabric, the baseball history of the Bay Area. So losing this franchise is not just for the city of Oakland. It really isn't. It's for all the fans in the East Bay and all the fans in the Bay Area who love baseball won't have a chance to see this ball club in Oakland or anywhere near the Bay Area. Of course, they'll be up in Sacramento for at least 3 years, and then who knows where they'll go after that. But it is a blow to baseball fans in the Bay Area. So we get the last game today. Yesterday, the Giants lose another one, and they get shut out 2-0 by the A's. It's their second shutout of the week. Of course, the first one was Monday night with Chris Sale. But, again, they almost get no hit. This is, the third time in about a week that, you had to worry about when are they going to get a hit. They finally got a base runner in the fourth or fifth inning, and after 5 1/3, Grant McCray dribbled one down the third baseline, and that was the first hit they got off of Osvaldo Bido, who pitched a great game for the A's yesterday. 6 innings, 1 hit, and then he was out of there, 2 walks and 6 strikeouts. And the A's hold on to win that game 2-0 over the Giants. For the Giants, Hayden Birdsong pitched yesterday, and as Raph and I were talking about, a good game for him. If this was the 7th game of the World Series, you'd probably have him out of there and not face the left-handed hitting Butler, who got the sacrifice fly to put the A's up 1-0, and that was all they needed in the game. But the way the Giants are hitting, you just can't manage your pitching staff like it's the 7th game of the World Series, because you got to score some runs. And you just can't take a pitcher out because he may give up 1 run, and you can't think that 1 run is going to beat you. So Birdsong was okay yesterday. We're getting to learn more about him. And when he's up in that strike zone and he's losing it and he's behind in the count, that's when you have to start, watch him carefully. And I think Bob Melvin did that eventually and brought Bevins in to get out of that inning, only giving up 1 run. Then Seth Brown had 3 hits, a left-handed hitter. And again, Bob Melvin left the righty in to face Seth Brown. I didn't understand that, and he got a hit, and that was the 2nd run. But when you come right down to it, and I know we talked about this a lot yesterday, we've talked about it last week, the Giants just are not hitting with runners in scoring position. And Dwayne and Mike and Joe and Dave and John, they all talk about it. Yesterday, 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. They're 24 for 148. That's a 162 average in the last 148 chances to drive in a run. 24 for 148. The A's, on the other hand, yesterday got the 1 hit from Seth Brown when they needed it. to drive in that second run. So the Giants have lost 4 of 5. They are in Oakland during this interleague series that goes back to the 90s. They are 31-42 in Oakland. The A's are 16-9, 23-14 since the break, and one of the better records in the American League. For the Giants, they need to get something going. Now, they have done well against left-handed starters lately. They've won 6 of their last 7, and that one loss was to the guy who's pitching today, and that is J.P. Sears of the A's. He goes today, and just to tell you a little bit about him, and then I'll tell you about the Giants guy today who could throw a no-hitter today. He's been absolutely terrific. But Sears is 28 years old, came over from the Yankees. He's 10-8 on the year with a .432 earned run average. Against the Giants, they did see him in that one game at Oracle. He went 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, a walk, and 9 strikeouts. 133 innings on the year, 122 hits. That's pretty good, but 18 home runs. Now, sounds like a lot, but when you consider 133 innings, he's going 7-8 innings, giving up 1 home run in that time. 37 walks and 101 strikeouts. His last 3 really good, 21 innings, 9 hits, 4 runs, a homer, 5 walks, and 18 strikeouts. The team is 3-0 in those 3 games. Righties have 15 of the 18 home runs against them. So the Giants get that right-handed lineup going today, and maybe the big guy Encarnacion can get something going against Sears. They got to find a way to get some home runs. They don't hit home runs. Fitzgerald hits a couple of home runs here and there. Yastrzemski hit one. Ramos hit one going back to the Washington series. But they're not hitting home runs anymore, and they're just not slugging the ball. And, boy, we could talk about Lamont Wade. I'm not sure what's happened with him. And when we have Bruce on today and Glen Kuiper, we'll talk about it. The professor can talk about it as well. The Giants' first baseman, all of them, have 9 home runs the whole year. Andy Bagley wrote about this morning in The Athletic, a good column from him. By the way, the Chronicle did a great job in all the articles that John Shea wrote and Shayna Rubin wrote over the last 24 hours of this series. But for Lamont Wade, he's got like a couple of RBIs in his last 33 games. Come on, what's happened to him? And he came up in critical situations yesterday. This is a guy who never chases ever. And he kept going out of the strike zone and got struck out and cost the Giants in a big situation when they could have gotten back in the game. So for him, I just don't understand what's happened with him. And the second part is the catcher, Patrick Bailey. And as Andy pointed out today, you're talking about a slugging of, 160 or something like that. And since the All-Star break, he's like 3 for 46 or something like that. And, he's a great catcher, and he can frame the ball. And when they take the umpire away and they do the automatic strike zone, which will eventually show up, he's going to have to hit his way to keep his job. But right now he's terrific defensively, but can't hit. And he comes up in situations where you got to get something going. Casey Schmidt's another one. Got the big home run against Fried in Atlanta the other day. Or I think Fried was still in there, but he got the home run. But, he came up in a critical situation yesterday and grounded out, and they just took the bat out of his hands. So things have got to improve on the offensive side for the Giants. They can pitch. They still can pitch, and they still have the bullpen that gets it done. And they got it done yesterday again. Hicks had a good inning yesterday. Bevins did a nice job as well. So today they turned to Blake Snell, who's just been terrific. I think the last time he said he pitched in Oakland was a playoff game when he was with Tampa Bay. They had 54,000 there in that game. And I assume he pitched well. But this is a guy, every time he takes the ball now, he could throw a no-hitter. His breaking stuff is unhittable. And if he has command of his fastball and that breaking stuff, he is very, very tough. We talk about stats with him. You can throw away the beginning of the season. It doesn't matter. His last 5 games, 33 innings, 12 hits. How about that? 5 runs, 2 homers, 11 walks, and 49 strikeouts. and had the classic game with Chris Sale on Monday night when the two of them had zeros for just about the whole game until the Braves got that run in the 10th inning to win the game 1-0. So lefties hitting 122 against them, righties hitting 197. First time through 196. The numbers are terrific. 10 stolen bases, 3 caught stealing. So that is where Bailey does come in to shut down that running game. So that's what we got going on today. That's a little bit about what happened yesterday. Once again, situations coming up for the Giants. Wisely had a shot to get something going. Couldn't do it. At the end of the game, of course, Schmidt struck out. Grounded out with runners on base. Wade and Ramos chances didn't happen. Wade again. Fitzgerald and Ramos again with the runner in scoring position didn't happen. So that's the story of the Giants. But with all that said and done, this race still goes on. 125 games are down, and there's still a lot of baseball to be played, 37 games. The Padres in this wild card, they've got the 4th spot. They win last night over Colorado, 8-3. Dylan Cease gets his 12th win. Manny had 4 hits last night. They beat up Colorado pretty good. Musgrove goes there today for San Diego. Arizona lost again yesterday. Marte is back in their lineup. He's their big MVP candidate. But Gallen got knocked around again. And Arizona loses to Tampa Bay. They lost 2 in a row to Tampa Bay, and Merrill Kelly goes today. So those 2 spots are pretty well secure right now. Atlanta's in that 3 spot. They're 7 games over 500 with 58 losses. And for them, yesterday they knocked the Angels around pretty good and got that win. They scored 11 runs against the Angels. The Mets got a shutout from Severino. How about that? Second, I think it was second complete game for him this year. And they shut out the Marlins, so they're a game back at 59 losses. And the Giants then come up with 63 losses. They are 4 back of Atlanta with 37 to go. And a real tough month of September ahead. So game against the A's, a team that's 53-70, although playing good ball right now. 3 with the White Sox starting tomorrow. Then off to Seattle, which is a team that cannot score at all. I don't care where they're playing. So the Giant pitching, Seattle pitching could match up well. Then it's to Milwaukee, and we'll see what happens there. And then back home against Miami. So there's still a lot of room for good things to happen, and the Giants have got to get it started today. So since the break, again, 15-13 since the break in August, 8-7. So the numbers go on. By the way, the Dodgers did win, lost yesterday, by the way, to the Cardinals 5-2. Miller did not pitch well. The Dodger pitching is still a mess. Kershaw goes today against the Cardinals. Cardinals and Giants are somewhat tied, but Ohtani, his 38th home run and his 37th stolen base. And he's going to be a 40-40 guy before you know it. So there's good stories in baseball. The Tigers and Yankees play today in the Little League game in Williamsport. Skubal pitches there today. Judge is there. So, there are good stories. Attendance is terrific in baseball. I know football's starting, but there's good stuff going on in baseball. But this whole thing with Oakland, it's the end of the Giants in Oakland today, which is sad. And we'll talk more about that as we do the show today. All right, we'll take a break. Coming up next will be the professor, Ron Wotus. We'll talk some ball with Woe right after this.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Experience the epitome of luxury and craftsmanship with Inicio Windows and Doors, another exciting product line from BMD Manufacturing. Inicio Windows and Doors sets the standard in ultra-premium European design. Wow. For the most demanding American building standards. Available both in steel and aluminum, they are meticulously engineered to elevate your living space to new heights of sophistication. Learn more about Inicio Windows and Doors today. Discover the perfect blend of European beauty and style with unwavering durability and strength. Visit InicioWindows.com. INICIO Windows.com. Inicio Windows and Doors, where European design meets American craftsmanship. Vans Bridge Bank delivers their clients full relationship banking, including treasury management solutions and global market services. Bridge Bank offers financing solutions to businesses for their working capital, equipment, and real estate needs. This is very important in today's world. Fred Voss is the Senior Managing Director of Bridge Bank's commercial lending efforts in Northern California. He has commercial banking teams in San Jose with Jesse Garcia, San Francisco, Oakland, Cheadle Cordova, and in Pleasanton. Bridge Bank, it's like banking at home. I can't say enough about it.
Time now to go to Sunday school with the professor.
Hey, Professor, take it easy, will you?
Giants coach Ron Wotus with Marty Laurie.
Oh, I didn't know you wanted to get involved with the discussion, Mr. Helper.
On your home of Giants baseball.
Good answer. I like the way you think.
KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Brought to you by River Islands, one of the country's top-selling master plan communities just across the Altamont in Lathrop. Where else can you live on a lake next door to a park or walking distance to your kid's new school? With 10 new neighborhoods, River Islands is the one place you can't afford to miss.
All right, it's the Giants and the Athletics. It's Blake Snell on the hill and J.P. Sears, two good lefties again. Should be some game today, and it will be the last between the Giants and the Oakland A's in Oakland. The professor joins us. Well, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Marty. I'm doing well. I'm out here watching Clay and his grounds crew staff work, walking the field. You know, they do such a fantastic job here with the field and getting it ready for the game. And it's a little nostalgic day, right? Last time here in Oakland. And, you know, it's going to be sad to see this team leave Oakland in this Coliseum.
You know, well, you're an East Bay guy, and I always say it's more than just Oakland. It's a ballpark, and it's a team that people all over the Bay Area can enjoy, and especially people in the East Bay. And you're a sports fan. I know you go to Warrior games in the off-season and stuff like that. I think it's a blow to the sports fan in the Bay Area.
You're exactly right. It's larger than Oakland. Being in the East Bay, you know, I know a lot of Oakland A's fans, and it gives fans options. You know, you can go to the city and watch the Giants. You can come here. You know, of course, years ago, there wasn't as much interleague play, so you had American League fans and National League fans, and you know, people could come here to Oakland to see the Yankees. How often do we see the Yankees and teams like that? So it just benefits the whole Bay Area, and it's really disappointing that we're going to lose a major league club in the Bay Area.
Let's talk about some of your moments in Oakland as a coach and being there and watching games. Did you go to games in Oakland, you know, at any point in your life before you became involved with baseball?
No, I didn't. You know, growing up in Connecticut, I mean, I was in baseball out of high school, and you know, when I got to the Bay, I was managing or playing for 11 years and then managing in the minor leagues. And when I got to San Francisco, it was as a third base coach in 1998. So the only time I came to an A's game is when we were playing them. Yeah. And we've been here quite often. You know, we never fared very well over here, to be honest with you. I don't know what the record is. I think it might be around 500. Maybe somebody has that information, you know, playing the A's. But I'm not sure what the record is here in Oakland. But I don't have a lot of, you know, a lot of good memories as far as playing in Oakland. It seems like we didn't fare that well over here.
31-42.
Well, there you go. That's why I have those feelings. But it was always nice coming over here, right? You're in the Bay Area. The fans are great. The drums are beating the drums. The place was electric. And there was a lot to be excited about. I mean, I drove in this morning about 8:15, and we have a lot of people out there tailgating already. And, you know, we don't get that over at our ballpark. And, you know, a lot of people love to do that. So there's special things here in Oakland that we don't have in San Francisco.
Yeah, good point. That's a good point. The tailgating always was a lot of fun. My first game that I can remember was back in 1972 when I first came to the Bay Area, and I think it was a half-price night on a Monday night, and Vida was pitching, and I know it's Vida's bobblehead day today in Oakland, but I think there were 50,000 people there on a Monday night to watch Vida pitch in 1972, and I was sitting deep in right field with the sun in my eyes, and that was my first experience in Oakland, and I love going there.
Well, that's a great experience. I wish I was there for that. That sounds wonderful. And this place does hold a lot with, Mount Davis here. It can really rock and roll. There's no doubt about it. And all the success that they've had here. And nobody knows it better than you, Marty. I think, it'd be great to have you do a whole show on the A's at the end of the season as they're going to be moving on. I mean, the history here, I was up in the press box for a moment yesterday. I guess that's probably where you used to hang out all the time. And my first memories of you, Marty, are here in Oakland, coming up and saying hello, and you were a fixture here.
Yeah, it's true. Well, I started my career, in Oakland in 1996, first going to the games there and doing shows in little KECG in El Cerrito. But I started doing things in Oakland, got my first 20-minute show in 1998, right off the bat on KATD, which was we called the Cat in those days, from Walnut Creek to Lake Tahoe. And, I saw a lot of baseball there, and the 20-game winning streak, and so many things. It is a special part of my life, and I was lucky enough to do it there. So good. I'm glad you brought that up. Wow. We'll do more of that today. Well, let's talk a little ball. Snell goes today. You've seen a lot of great pitchers in your time. Every time this guy takes the ball now, I'm thinking no-hitter.
Well, he is. He has that type of stuff. You think of all the greats. I think of Lincecum, how dominating he was because of the velocity and the movement. The movement on his two-seam fastball and that split change that he threw, you just couldn't recognize the pitches. And there's been a lot of great pitchers. I mean, you think of Greg Maddux, you think of Roy Halladay. There's a lot of them, but Snell, he's very unique in the fact that he has an overpowering fastball. He's got a great breaking ball, and he mixes that changeup in there. He's got like 3 pitches that really keep you off balance, and they're hard to square up if he locates it all. He's very unique that way. In a lot of ways, I think he's one of the toughest pitchers to face in the game. He could be near the top of the list, top dozen pitchers to face in Major League Baseball.
Well, what is the key for him to have the big game? What's the key for Snell?
Well, it's always command. He does throw a lot of pitches. If he works ahead of the count, it makes it much more difficult. When you're not throwing strikes and you're not around the plate, hitters can keyhole you a little bit. You get behind in the count, and you got to throw fastballs down the middle. And I think that's the key with most pitchers is your command and location in the zone. And, it's so very important for him because when he has that and he's getting ahead and throwing strikes, he can throw 8-9 innings. Like you said, he could throw a no-hitter. And, he's had a history of really not going deep in the games. And when he's throwing strikes, he can do that.
Yeah, good game today, and this J.P. Sears pitched a good game against the Giants. His last time out, 7 innings, a 3-hit ball and shutout ball. This is a team, the Oakland team, you got to deal with them. This is a team that it sounds like, well, they're going to lose so many games. Well, they're playing good baseball right now. The kid at the top of the lineup is good. Butler, Rooker hits the ball well. This is a team you got to deal with. What's your impression of the A's right now?
You're exactly right. Look, they have some nice pieces over here. Their closer was down last night. The other guy that came in at the end of the game was throwing 100. His name eludes me right now.
Oh, Tanya.
Yes, he was throwing 100. He threw some, I don't know if he's thrown like this all year. He threw some perfect sliders. I mean, on the black. He threw some fastballs up and in on Conforto, perfect location. Nobody's touching that at 99 to 100, so his location was there with the arm. But they have some guys that can hit home runs. The catcher there has a bazooka for arm. He's tough to run on. So, the A's have always done a nice job of developing players. I know Keith Lippman in the minor leagues does a heck of a job. Yeah. I mentioned his name last night, and they had the Hall of Fame induction last night with, Lewis, who was here talking a little bit. You had Canseco and Miggy. Tejada was put in. It was good to see him there, and Steinbach and others. But yeah, they have some pieces. So, they always battle you, even when they don't. So, they beat us yesterday. They shut us down. So they're tough. We have to get on the board today and score some runs early.
Yep. I'm glad you mentioned Keith Lipman, a great talent evaluator, minor league instructor, and Billy Owens is the other one, who I think is one of the best evaluators in the game today, and he's part of the success in Oakland, a lot of it. Hey, you mentioned Canseco. You have any memories of Canseco? He played around when you were playing.
Yeah, shoot. I mean, I just remember him hitting the ball extremely hard. I mean, I was in Tacoma when McGuire was there. I really don't remember if Canseco was on the team or not, but McGuire was there playing third base for the Tacoma team, and I was a Phoenix Giant. And I'll tell you what, even back then he was lean, and he played a very good third base, had a bazooka for an arm and throw across the diamond. But the one thing that stood out, and it only got better as time went by into the big leagues, is he hit the ball extremely hard. I played a little third base back then, and when you play third base and guys hit the ball hard, you don't forget them because you're a little closer. You're a little closer to home plate.
Yeah, he did. His first year, we had 49 home runs, I think, as a rookie. And that's before all the steroid stuff and all the other stuff happened. So, no, he was a solid hitter. And you're right, I do remember him as a third baseman. There was some interesting things coming up in baseball this week, and I don't know if you saw it or not, but baseball is toying with the idea, of course, they throw out the trial balloons all the time, of requiring a starting pitcher to go 6 innings because they want to get the starting pitcher sort of back in the forefront of the game. And he can only come out if he's given up 4 earned runs, an injury, or he's thrown 100 pitches. So did you hear about this one?
Oh, yeah. I heard about it just the other day, and we chopped it up a little bit. And look, I'm one that's always, slow to embrace these rule changes. I mean, I thought the game was beautiful the way it was before we changed so many things. And just going back, the one they need to get rid of is, the three batter minimum for the pitchers. It's killing left-handed relievers. The manager can't manage. They keep taking the ability of the manager to manage the game. And I think having a rule that the pitchers got to go 6 innings, unless of those exceptions that you talked about, I'm not a fan of it. Again, you're limiting what the manager can do and who you want to be as a team, how you want to run your team. I think, one beauty of baseball is if you think years ago, I mean, you had the Bash brothers here in Oakland were here, right? They pounded the ball. Then you had Whitey Herzog and the Cardinals. They were stealing bases and playing small ball and creating havoc. I think that really is something that entices the fans to watch different teams, and teams could decide how they want to win, how they want to build their team. They want to build around their ballpark or build to their strength. And just putting rules in to have a pitcher have to throw 6 innings, I just hope that never comes to fruition.
Yeah, I don't think it's practical, but I understand the idea maybe of limiting the amount of pitchers on a pitching staff. So you've got to use a pitcher, a little bit longer. You can't, manipulate your staff as much. But I don't see requiring a pitcher to stay in a certain amount of innings. I think a couple of batters you can work with, but not 6 innings. So I agree with you on that. It brings up the question that happened the other night. I'd like to get your thought on it. And it was Monday and Tuesday. We're in the extra inning, and the question is, do you bunt the ghost runner over, and you're the home team, and the other team has scored a run, and do you play for the run? And if the other team hasn't scored a run, do you move them over so you can score a run? And the Giants tried it both ways. And what do you think about that?
Well, it all depends on your personnel for me. I mean, typically on the road, you're going to play for the 2 runs because the home team has the last at bat. You're not going to bunt the guy over and play for 1. Now, you bring up a good question. Do you do it at home? I mean, if the visiting team didn't score and you just need one run to win the game, I think it's something you have to consider. say you have a guy up, you don't think he's going to get a hit, and you want to get him the third. You like your next couple of hitters. Of course, you got to think who your next three hitters are, because the visiting team can walk the next hitter. You want the guy, they got two open bases, so they can walk two guys to get to a third guy and set up a double play as well. So I think your personnel comes into play and where you think your best shot of scoring that run is. So the best shot, letting the guy that you were going to bunt, letting him hit. Now, if it's a left-handed hitter and there's no out, I mean, the lefty should be able to pull the ball and get the guy to third and not have to bunt. But if it's a righty that can't move him and a righty you're not confident in, it is an option at home. On the road, I wouldn't do it. But it's just like, look, you're playing a big game, and they say the bunt's not a good play, but I always think about it. If I'm in a playoff game or I'm in a must-win World Series game or whatever it is, what would I do to win the game? Because the season is no different than your must-win games. And when you're at home, sometimes if your bullpen is rested and you like the arms you have in the bullpen, maybe the other team's bullpen is beat up, you might play for the tie, obviously, at home because you want to continue the game. So, you know, as a manager, you got to consider all these options that are available to you. It's not always just win the game. Sometimes you just want to tie the game and prolong it so you're in a better position than the other team to go into extra innings.
Boy, great analysis by the professor. You know, Bob Melvin's got a tough way to go here managing his pitching staff, and I thought maybe he should have taken Birdsong out a little bit earlier to bring Lefty in to face Butler, to not give up the one run. But you can't manage like it's the seventh game of the World Series, assuming you're only going to score 2 runs. At some point, you got to score some runs. And Bob Melvin's got to let the pitchers pitch a little bit, even if they give up some runs, because you got to think at some point that you're going to score.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Look, I mean, if you're starting to manage in the 5th inning like it's, you know, the 8th or 9th inning or 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, it can be real taxing on your bullpen. And we all know that we probably have at least 3 relievers in the top 10 of appearances that we have. So you got to manage just not that game. You got to manage, you know, the games to follow tomorrow and the next day and the next. Birdie's done a very good job for us. He had a couple rougher outings, but, you know, this kid has come light years. 2 years ago, he was in San Jose pitching, and here he is in the major league rotation. So I agree with you. You have to score to win. You're in the 5th inning. The kid has strikeout stuff. You know, his command gets a little wonky here and there, and I think that's why Bob pulled him in the 5th inning with 2 outs. He started to lose his fastball command, and he made his moves. But, you know, you only have so many pitchers down there, and if you got to manage 4 innings, 5 innings every night out of the bullpen to keep the other team from scoring a run, our offense isn't doing its job. So, I kind of agree with you on that one, Marty.
Yeah, and it came up again with Bevins against Seth Brown. You know, it's a 1-0 game, and I said, all right, get the lefty in to face Brown, you know, and maybe force, Kotze to bring in Nevin or something like that to pinch hit. And, of course, Brown then bounced the single through the infield, and it was 2-0. But, again, you have to think you're going to score some runs at some point.
Right, exactly. It's early in the game. It's the 5th inning. I mean, if you're down by 2 in the 5th, you got a very good chance to win that game. I mean, you get one guy on a home run, it's a tie game. So, again, I think that all comes into the manager's mind. He's got to manage not only today but the next couple days, and our bullpen has been used an awful lot. So, you know, you let your starter go, who's been very good for us as well. You know, and it's getting to that time, though, Marty. I understand what you're saying. It's there's not many games left, and these are kind of must-win games. They're not playoff games yet. We're not there, but they are must-win games. But you got to manage every single day, and you can't just keep going to the well to keep the team from scoring in the 4th or 5th inning every single day. Your bullpen will not hold up.
Good. I'm glad we talked about it because, you know, you see these situations come up, and I think back to the way Kapler managed it, a little different. And he was always manipulating that middle of the game, but you can't always do that. You got to score some runs. All right, let's talk about Lamont Wade a little bit. Whoa, what happened to him? I mean, the guy's chasing pitches all over the place. He's got like 2 RBIs in 30 games. this was a major hitter in the Giants lineup, still hitting second. But what happened to Lamont Wade?
Well, I'm not quite sure. He's got a great eye at the plate. He's been, in and out of the lineup with that hamstring. I know he doesn't feel well. He still says his hamstring bothers him. It's hard to know how much it's bothering him, but it was unusual to see him chase some pitches last night that were, up, with men in scoring position. And a lot of times this happens to players when you're not scoring runs and you try to do too much, or you're trying to put up numbers and you want to hit home. You look up, you got 20 RBIs in August. You go, I got to drive in some runs, right?
Yeah.
I have to do something. You put pressure on yourself, and now you get out of your game and, you chase pitches or try to do more than you're capable. And you see that a lot with a lot of players when teams are struggling to score runs. Guys tend to try to do too much to help the team win. So I'm not quite sure, what it's been, but I know he's been banged up a little bit, and he doesn't feel 100%, and I'm sure that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, and he just doesn't look the same right now. There's something going on with him. A birthday today, and I looked at the name of it, and I said, God, maybe you played with this guy. Remember Mike LaValliere, the catcher?
Oh, Spanky, right?
Yes, yeah, for the Pirates. And
how
about him? How about Mike LaValliere?
Well, I just remember Rags, Dave Righetti. He played for the Yankees as well, and they had some kind of video that was out. Something about Spanky and his shoes, I think. I can't remember, but it was hilarious. So I remember Mike very well. He was playing around the time I was playing. I didn't play with him. He was with the Pirates much later than I was, but that's a great name. Yeah, Mike LaValliere.
Yeah, wasn't he like 5'10", about 230 pounds, something like that?
Yeah, exactly. He didn't look the part, but he had a pretty good career for himself.
Very good. Yeah, I'm glad we could bring that one up. All right, last thought for you. And this is a good baseball discussion. I appreciate having you on this morning. Bunting for a hit when you're getting no hit. And look, these games are all tight. I think you lay down a bunt and just get on and get a hit going.
Well, I always believed you play to win the game, but it depends on the score and it depends on the inning. I mean, if you're losing, 9-0 in the 7th or 8th inning, I don't think you're trying to bunt. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's fair game in a close game. I mean, I had to face this as a defensive coach. If you're up by 1 run, 2, 3, 4 runs, whatever it is, I can't just play the third baseman back in the 7th, 8th, and 9th because the pitcher has a no-hitter. My God, what happens if you don't know what the hitter's thinking? If he's playing to win, which everybody should be, he's going, shoot, they're giving me a base runner. I'm going to drop one down. You know how terrible I would feel? I remember being in that scenario, and I've had third basemen go back, and I'd pull them in and say, look, we can't take a chance that this guy's not going to bunt if he's trying to win the game. So, it's kind of it's an interesting thought, and this would be a good poll question on what the fans think about that, because I think everybody has a different opinion on it. But I never was going to take a chance to have a guy lose a no-hitter because we didn't think he was going to bunt.
Yeah, well, I've seen enough 5 1/3, 6 innings of Giant baseball without a hit lately, and I think they should just be laying one down early and using some of that speed. Maybe the kid in center field, he's got some real speed. Maybe he can do it.
Yeah, he can do it. He's got some real speed. He's off to a pretty good start, which you like to see with a young player to gain that confidence and feel comfortable and know that he belongs here. So, look, I believe in the bunt. Anytime, you're down by runs and you need a runner, if they're giving it to you, get a base runner, keep that line moving.
All right. Good talk. Good baseball this morning. Well, very good. I liked it. Very good.
All right, Marty. Well, I'll get a handful of grass and take it home. So when I see you in San Francisco next week, I could give you some of this turf.
I like it. Very good. Yeah. Come on, man. I spent a lot of time there. I used to sit behind the home dugout every game when I started with Stephen and Betty Howe and Bill Gibson from Huey Lewis and the News. And, yeah, we had our crowd there, Dave, and all the people. So, yeah, it touches my heart, the fans in Oakland. It really does. Thank you.
You got
Like
it, Marty. I can see that. All right. Well, hopefully we'll hear more from you on the A's and being here.
Okay. All right. Have a good day, Will. Thank you.
You too. Take care.
All right. More coming up right here. Glen Kuiper next on the Sports Leader.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Hey, it's Marty Lurie, just back from touring River Islands and Lathrop. I've got to tell you how much the community has grown and changed since the last time I visited. When we talked about its lakes, parks, and trails, I always feel that we're not quite telling you the whole story. There are 15 lakes in place and a dozen parks with playgrounds, sports fields, and picnic areas. I love visiting Islanders Field. It's turning into everything I hoped and more. The River Islands High School baseball team is going to be playing on one of the finest grass fields I've ever seen. Everything about it is first class. Where do you see it? Just like the total picture at River Islands. This is an amazing place to visit and discover. The houses are knockout gorgeous with huge kitchens and home offices. Best of all, pricing starts in the low $600,000s and tops out at just over $1 million. We always talk about it being the best-selling master plan community in Northern California, and once you see it, you'll know why. So start your tour today at riverislands.com. Isn't it time for you to discover the islands? You know it is for me.
Prepping you for today's orange and black ball game, we now take you back to Talking Baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
All right, great to have you back with us. Giants need a win today as they take on the A's in Game 2 of this Bay Bridge series. The A's lead the series now 2-1 as we wrap it up today. Glen Kuiper joins us. Glenn, good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Marty?
All right. What were your thoughts yesterday about the Giants and the A's? My goodness.
I got a lot of thoughts.
Really? Come on. As I said yesterday, as I said the woe today, 31-42 for the Giants, and it affects you and how you feel about the A's. What a day for you, huh?
Yeah, well, it was, listen, I have a lot of friends with the A's still. I wish those people well. But just, the game itself, it was really a frustrating game, I thought, Marty. And, you look at it many different ways as you do. You look at them as a fan. You look at it as a baseball guy, as, the game is very difficult to play. But the thing that jumped out to me was, listen, when you're in games at this point in the season, you're grinding, you're in a race, right? You need to win. I just don't think that as an offense, you can get no hit into the sixth inning by a guy who 1 month ago was in the A's bullpen. Now, I'm not saying that the Beto kid wasn't good. He had good stuff, but you have to do a better job. You cannot go into the sixth inning getting no hit by again, a guy who, listen, he was in the bullpen a month ago. And then the situational at bats, it's just a head scratcher to me. And I know it's a head scratcher to Bob and everybody in the coaching staff. I just don't get it. They had plenty of opportunities late in the game, but for some reason it just does not happen. And I'm afraid that that's going to be, what we all think about when the season's over, that the downfall of this team is just going to be, their inability to come through in clutch situations, or even just where you could execute a little bit, Marty, and you don't even have to get a hit. You just got to execute. And they just have not been able to do that for a long time now.
Yeah, 62-63, and as Bill Parcells always said, you are what your record is, and they played 125 games, and they're 5 back in the loss column with Atlanta, and Atlanta holding the tiebreaker. 37,551 yesterday at the Coliseum. What do you think of just the crowd and just the atmosphere?
Well, it's great, and that is nice to see. We all know that, when the Coliseum has people in it, it's a great atmosphere, and it always has been. And the last couple of years, there's just been, many nights, obviously. I mean, I'm not out there anymore, but many nights where there's not really anybody there. So when you do get a chance to see that place with a huge crowd in it, and, you got plenty of Giants fans, plenty of A's fans, it's a very cool series. It's too bad it's going to be over after today. But it is good.
Yeah.
It is good to see fans in that stadium, and I think they're expecting a huge crowd again today.
Yeah, Woe brought up Clay Wood, the groundskeeper, and over the years I can remember sitting up in the press box, and remember I used to do my show live from the ballpark. I used to sit in the press box, do the show live for an hour or 90 minutes up in the press box, and it would be after a Raider game, and it would be a Monday. And remember, Clay Wood would be out there converting the field to baseball just so he'd get it ready for game time. But the grounds crew, did a great job in Oakland.
Well, and I've known Clay for many years. He's a very good friend of mine. And, if one of the best, if not the best groundskeeper in the game, it just is. It's not. Yeah, I can say that, but players say it, and that's really all that matters. And it's another head scratcher that the A's have let Clay go. He's not coming back, which makes no sense to me. But that's a different deal. I hope Clay gets a job because he certainly deserves it. He's got a wonderful reputation, and it's just hard to believe that they couldn't have used him, up in Sacramento somehow, but. I guess that's just not the way they operate right now. But Clay is one of the best, and he'll remain one of the best. And he deserves all the recognition he can get. And yeah, I don't even think, Marty, people realize what he had to go through with that football baseball
Really?
conversion. Right? When you sat and watched it, then you realize that, gee whiz, there's cranes in there, and there's it looked like they were there. It was a full construction site, and then 24 hours later, there was a baseball game being played. So, Clay's a good man, and I hope it all works out for him because he certainly deserves it.
Yeah. Glen Kuiper with us this morning. Glenn, it's Players Weekend. It's a little different. Remember they had names and all sorts of little things they'd put on their uniform. Now they use bats that look like crayons, and they have something, right? What do you think of this?
I think it's kind of fun. I mean, I don't think you can do it, a lot, but I do think it is fun. Maybe gets kids involved and kids watching the game maybe see that and think it's pretty cool. So yeah, I think it's a good idea. It allows the players to get a little creative too, which maybe brings out the kid in them. I thought my favorite was the A's Zach Geloff. He had a bat that looked like an aluminum bat.
Really?
It really did look like an aluminum bat. And that was kind of funny. I thought that was pretty cool. But, yeah, I think it just allows the players to have a little fun. And in some cases, Marty, with the spikes and stuff, maybe put something out there for a good cause or maybe in memory of somebody. And I think that's pretty cool, too.
Well, it's interesting reading the notes every day about baseball and how many pitchers are going on the injured list. And Glasnow went on. I saw Derek Law today from Washington, who's had a great season. A former Giant has got an elbow strain. Hunter Green, who Gordon Whitmire talked about yesterday as a possible Cy Young candidate, he's got elbow trouble. Now, with that in mind, they talked about forcing starting pitchers to go 6 innings now. I don't think they know what to do with pitchers these days. You know that?
Well, I agree with you. I think, and we all read about that idea, and there were some, different ways that they were going to go about it. If you got to 100 pitches, it kicked in differently. It was a little bit strange, I thought, but I agree with you. I just don't think, Major League Baseball, I'm not sure they know where the problem is. Is it just an organizational thing now where all organizations are being more careful with pitchers in the minor leagues, and then they get to the major leagues and they're not ready to have a heavy workload? Is it that? Is it, now they're talking about, like you said, changing a possible rule, which, would make a guy go 6 innings. I don't know that that's the answer either. But I agree with you, Marty. I think they're throwing ideas against the wall, which I think that's great. I think you should always do that. Doesn't mean all of them are good ideas, but I think their thinking is let's make the starting pitcher more important. How can we keep him in the game longer? Because he is the most important player on the field when he's out there, the starting pitcher. But is that the best way to do it? Make them go 6 innings? I don't know. It's very strange. I think it starts in the minor leagues with the way guys are, really guarded and not throwing a lot of innings. I understand why, but I don't know that that's the right thing. And then, the high velocity has a lot to do with this whole thing too, Marty. I think your elbow and your shoulder can only take so much torque, and everybody is throwing 95, 96 miles an hour. Maybe the arm is not built for that long term. I mean, it could be that simple, and it probably is that simple.
Well, look at Randy Rodriguez. That's another one.
Yep.
With the elbow. Yeah, there's something they've got to deal with it, and I think you're right. I think it is.
Yeah. You know what, too, Marty, is we're talking about 97, 98 mile an hour fastballs, right? But to me, just as important is guys are throwing 91, 92 mile an hour sliders. I mean, when you're throwing a slider or breaking ball, I mean, you think about your elbow is rotating. It's not rotating that way when you're throwing a fastball. So I think these high velocity breaking pitches, the slider, which just snaps off, like a Rodriguez. I think that may be an even bigger issue than just a guy throwing 100 miles an hour with a fastball, because the fastball is a little bit easier on your arm than any type of breaking ball. So that could be another issue for these high velocity guys, is the high velocity breaking ball.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and I think they just look for pitchers like that. Look at the kid yesterday, Otanez. He's a minor leaguer. He had his first save yesterday, but he comes in throwing 100, and he's throwing a 90-mile-an-hour slider.
Yep, exactly. And I think sometimes now too with bullpen guys, you let them go as long as they can because they're successful. And if they run out of gas, or if the elbow starts flaring up a little bit, all right, well then you put him on the injured list, get somebody else up, get him healthy again, and get him back out there. I think that's just the reality. I think that's just what teams are doing now. Yeah,
or you teach them to pitch like Tyler Rogers.
That's true, which is pretty effective this year. But maybe that's not for everybody either, Marty. I don't know.
All right. Hey, I want to give you a chance to say something to the Oakland fans. This is the last time Giants, A's in Oakland. You're a big part of it. What would you say to the fans?
Oh, that's a tough one, Marty. I was there for 21 years. The fans are great. Listen, I think initially they looked at me like, wait a minute, he's a Kuiper. They're really attached to the Giants, which, that was not necessarily my thing. That was more of my two brothers. But as time went on, I believe they accepted me. So, the fans were terrific. Just really good, solid people who love their team. And I feel bad for them. And, I don't completely understand what's happening over there. I don't know that it's being handled the right way. I think there is humans involved here, whether it be employees, whether it be fans, whether it just be, a lot of people in general. I don't know that is at all part of anybody's decision process of what about the people involved. And that's too bad. I think in any decision, business decision, whatever you make, I do think you have to take a human element into it a little bit. And I don't really see that much with the decision makers with the A's, which is too bad. But I think, I think that comes back to get you down the road. I believe in karma, and I do think that you forget about people and feelings and the human element. I think that'll get you down the road. That's just the way I feel about it. And these A's fans don't deserve that. A lot of employees don't deserve it, but I just think a lot of people have been just completely overlooked for the sake of, a move that, quite frankly, seems questionable and really is questioned by many, many people.
Boy, well said, Glenn. Well said. I appreciate having you on. I'm glad that you could go through this weekend. I know it's not simple for you, but very good. I'm glad you're on. Thank you.
Thanks, Marty, and good luck today, and I'll talk to you next week, okay?
Right. Okay. Glen Kuiper. All right. More coming up. Bruce Jenkins next, right here on the Sports Leader. It's been a pleasure working with Rick Robin this year. Rick Robin, ROBBEN, NapaConstruction.com. Rick, the last time you were on with us, you told us about kitchen and bath remodeling, but there's a lot more going on up in your area.
Yes, there is. ADUs, auxiliary dwelling units, which are those dwelling units. We can do your existing garage, attached garage, even building a new unit in the back. And so what we do is come out, bring our architect out there. Such a great thing. No sewer hookup fees, no water hookup fees. So that's what we do.
Rick, how does one start the process with you? How does one get in touch with you?
You call Tammy, 707-332-7575, 7 days a week.
Rick Robin, ConstructionNapa.com. Rick, the thing I like about this, no problem for me. You come out with the plans, the permits, everything is in-house, no fees, and you get a new unit that you can rent out and get money back on your investment right away. I like it, Rick.
Thanks, Marty. Love talking to you.
Rick Robin, ConstructionNapa.com. KNBR.com. Hey fans, Gene Bagato checked in from Bodega Bay, and he said that in addition to the usual goings-on at the Tides Wharf, the big news is across Highway 1 at the Inn. After a 4-year hiatus, the ever-popular Bayview Dining Room has reopened, serving guests Thursday through Sunday evenings beginning at 6 o'clock. Now listen to this. Chef Remy Madrid, formerly of the San Francisco Yacht Club in Tiburon, has joined the Tide staff and has created a fantastic menu offering a wide array of dishes ranging from the classic coq au vin and seared salmon to the signature dish of the house, the filet mignon Hitchcock, a 6-ounce filet topped with Dungeness crab meat. Wow! Reservations are highly recommended, so if you're looking for a getaway that offers great beaches, scenic views, and gourmet food selections, this is it. You need look no further than the Tides Wharf and the Inn at the Tides in beautiful Bodega Bay.
Look through the window of the original Joe's on North Beach and you'll see two guys at the counter talking ball. Time for you to listen in to their conversation. Marty Laurie and the SF Chronicles' Bruce Jenkins are looking through the window of baseball. Sponsored by Original Joe's of North Beach and Westlake on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
All right, great to have you back. Bruce, good morning. I need a 4-hour show today.
No worries, Marty. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for being patient here. You wrote a great column today. This is the Bruce Jenkins Hall of Fame baseball writer column today in the Chronicle. Really, this is what makes you the Hall of Famer, which you should be. But let's talk about what you said today about the Giants.
Well, I mean, it's just such a strange scene yesterday. I mean, Oakland is usually just beyond desolate. There's like 18 people out there, and they're heading to Sacramento. But all of a sudden, they honor some of the greats of the organization. The fans come out. Canseco's in tears. You're thinking about Bill King and Tejada, and the A's are a good club, and they felt all that emotion. And outside of Birdsong, the Giants could have been the maintenance crew. I mean, they got 4 hits, and 2 of them were horrible little dribblers and went about 30 feet. But as I was saying yesterday, this team is not going to hit. They'll hit occasionally, but they're not going to hit. They're a mediocre lineup, period, and I don't see any way out of it for this season and really even beyond, because they have no long-term investments in their players except for guys who can opt out, next year. I'm not saying it's hopeless, and they have a dream. The Giants' dream is somehow they sneak into the postseason. And they win the first 2 games behind Webb and Snell, 1-0 and 2-0. And that could happen, but it's so tough. I mean, they've been looking up at the Padres and the Diamondbacks, and that's kind of a pipe dream now. They're looking up at the Mets and the Braves. But meanwhile, if you look at it, they're 4 games out in the wild card. But the Cardinals are also 4 games out. The Reds are 4.5. I mean, the Cubs are in there. Those 4 teams are like separated by 1 game. They could get passed by 3 teams that are behind them right now. So it's really, really tough. And, they're going to have pitching, but until they hit consistently, which I don't see, I don't think it's going to end that well.
Boy, interesting. And as I said, Bruce wrote this in the Chronicle today. What was interesting about the story, how you compared them to the Padres. For a year ago, the Padres couldn't do anything right. Now, all of a sudden, the Padres are one of the hottest teams in baseball. How does that happen?
Yeah, and not only that, they lose Soto, who didn't have a Soto-like year, and the whole mood around the team was kind of strange last year. But they showed up with a whole new attitude. Bringing Luis Arias in was very big. He's got a magnetic personality with the guys, a lot of Hispanic guys on the team. Great hitter. They're all in awe of him. And, Machado's – the Giants just don't have anybody like Machado, not even close. A real superstar who looks and acts the part. Guys like Cronenworth, and their lineup is very, very deep. They've got some pitching. They got some relief pitching that improved there, and they just a vibe. If Tatis comes back and can finish out the season, which he really wants to do, and not do anything silly, they're the best team in the league. They're going to be in the World Series. The Dodgers have too many problems.
Yeah, let's talk about the Dodgers a little bit. Ohtani yesterday. And he's, I think someone said yesterday during the Hall of Fame induction of Canseco, he was the only 40-40 ever. Is that still the case? Because Ohtani is going to be 40-40 in about another 5 days.
Well, there's a few other guys who were 40-40, but yeah, Canseco was one of those guys. I remember I was covering the team when he broke in. This raw kid, this gigantic guy with phenomenal speed. We're thinking, what can't this guy do? Where did he come from? But yeah, I don't have the list, but it's been done a few times.
Yeah, Ohtani, 7 for his last 47, as you pointed out yesterday. But he did hit a home run, got his 38th, and stole his 37th base for them. Arizona loses yesterday, Bruce. Marte is back, which they need him. But Zach Gallen gets knocked around again, and it's Merrill Kelly today against Tampa Bay. So this is the way this baseball season goes. There's stories every day.
Yeah, I mean, they'd won 9 straight series, so I mean, I think losing this one isn't a big deal. But they keep talking about, well, we're going to get all our rotation guys healthy, and this guy's coming back on this date, and this and that. But I need to see it. I mean, Gallen did get roughed up a little bit. Their record is phenomenal, but to me, the rotation isn't overwhelming. I mean, they all have their moments, but yesterday Gallen gave up, I think, 4 runs and 9 hits in like 5 innings. So we'll see, but it's like you say. I mean, trying to predict anything in baseball is fun and also kind of hopeless.
Yeah, look at the Dodgers, and St. Louis snapped a 5-game losing streak yesterday. They've got the closer, the best in, well, maybe Clase is the best in baseball, but this Helsley's got 38 saves as well.
Yeah.
So that's going well. Burleson, the left-handed hitter, hits a home run yesterday. There's stories all over the place, but for me, I looked at Cincinnati yesterday to see Kansas City 13-1 over the Reds yesterday, and Hunter Green, who we talked about with Gordon Whitmire yesterday, Cy Young candidate, is now on the DL with an elbow issue.
Oh, man, that's a crushing injury. This guy's a total strikeout guy. He's having a great year, ERA under 3, many more strikeouts than innings pitched. And for that team, we're kind of hanging by a thread. That could do him in if he can't come back. And, it's an elbow. You never know if he even does come back this season. That's a tough one.
Yeah, and there was a kid yesterday. I love these comparisons, but Darian Blanco. He's like 30 years old. Do you see the Cuban utility player? Yeah. For Kansas City, hits 9th in the order. He drove in 7 runs. He's the first one, this is the part I like, the first one to drive in 7 runs from the 9 spot since Tony Cloninger.
Oh, that pitcher.
Who hit the 2
when he hit 2 grand slams, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, Milwaukee Braves.
Against the Giants.
Against the Giants. Well, Dairon Blanco, the A's had him at one point. Like you say, he's 31. He's a Cuban guy. He's been around, but the A's had him in 2018, and he played for the Stockton Ports. But the following year, he was traded to Kansas City for Jake Diekman. A couple other guys were in there. And, who knew from Dairon Blanco really up until yesterday. But all of a sudden, he looks great. He's an outfielder. He's got a great swing, and Kansas City's on a roll. So we'll see more of him, I'm sure.
Yeah, this central race is Cleveland's up by 2 over Minnesota, and Cleveland lost to Milwaukee. We'll talk about them in a second because Yelich had back surgery yesterday. But Cleveland's only up by 2 on Minnesota and 4 by Kansas City. How about that?
That's a great race. And, Cleveland, they got swept by the Twins and looked like, man, they're going down. They had a long losing streak, but I think they won the last game of that series. And they've got it back since then. Josh Naylor and Jose Ramirez and Kwan and Stephen Vogt's not going to let that team, fall out of the race by any means. And but I don't know who I like in that race. I mean, the Twins, if they could get Buxton and Correa and Royce Lewis all healthy at the same time, which never happens, but if it could happen, they'd be a good threat to win the division.
Well, Cleveland's got Ben Lively going today, and they've got Bybee, and their pitching still it's bullpen oriented, which you can win. You can win with that, but other than the Naylor brothers and Ramirez, well, Kwan is still. By the way, Kwan is. I got my list here. Kwan is. He's 4th now. Wow, he's 4th in hitting.
He's down to 320.
Yeah, he's 4th. Vladdy's ahead of him, and also Witt is at 351, and Judge is 332. How about that?
Yeah, Witt Witt has like 19 3-hit games this season. Seriously, wow. 19. And he's leading the league in hitting, which is it's so pure. I mean, for all the things that he does, he's got power and defense and charisma and a family history. But to be leading the league is just a really pure thing. It's shades of George Brett in Kansas City.
Did you see how many hits? He's got 172 hits.
Yeah, that's surprising.
Yeah,
you get 3 a night, that's going to happen.
Yeah, he's going to be like 220 before then. Arises 2nd in hits at 151. You brought up yesterday there are only 2 in the National League, incredible to me, hitting over 300, rise at 308 with the thumb ligament that his thumb is hanging on. And Ozuna, who has no business hitting 307, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, you got, Marte is close and Bohm and Profar, but I guess, that's typified or summarized by Ohtani going down to 291. I mean, he was hitting like 370 about 6 weeks into the season. He's 7 for 51 and down into the 290s. So that's kind of what's happening in the league. You made a really good point about Ohtani yesterday, how he's pulling his head. And he does that a lot, actually. Sometimes you'll see it when he hits the ball out, he does that. But he may have made an adjustment yesterday. I was watching slow motion, the home run that he hit, for all the pulling out that he does. If you watch where his head is and where his eyes are when the bat meets the ball, he's focused straight on the ball. And that's just like Jock Peterson's the same way. He yanks out of there like crazy. But if you watch him when the bat meets the ball, he's staring at it. So that's kind of a big deal. But I mean, Ohtani, he's going to go on a tear. I don't know how you could think otherwise.
Yep. Well, Betts having him behind doesn't hurt either.
No.
He's got a legitimate guy. But look, you bring up the Dodgers. The Dodger pitching is a mess.
Oh my goodness! I mean, Bobby Miller was out there, gets shelled by the Cardinals, and they can't trust Glasnow. He's out. Buehler is really struggling. River Ryan just disappeared. I mean, what is it? Is it Flaherty, Gavin Stone, and Kershaw? I mean, Kershaw had a good outing, so all of a sudden, okay, he's the ace of this team. I mean, 2 or 3 weeks ago, they were going to see even going to finish the season. So it's just their rotation it's just too much craziness. Yep. Flaherty's good. Kershaw, he's going to have some good outings. But I tell you, beyond that, they just have no idea what they're going to get.
Kershaw goes today.
Oh, okay.
Against Sonny Gray today. I think that's the matchup today. I want to talk about Judge for a second because, look, 44 home runs. He's got 111 RBIs, and he's second in batting. We still could have a Triple Crown winner. I still like it.
Well, he's hitting 332. That's batting title territory. I mean, I don't know if Witt goes into a slump. Everybody does. Ohtani's in one, but he's going to win the home runs. He's way ahead of Santander there. He's got a good lead on Ramirez in the RBI. By the way, 111 RBIs at this stage is very cool. But that would be an awesome thing. It'd be tough to take the MVP away from Judge if he wins the Triple Crown. I mean, you got Witt in there and Gunnar Henderson and a lot of great players around the league. But Judge he's the big story, and he sure is delivering.
Yep, I love it. I mean, I just think for a big guy like that to hit the way he's hitting. I mean, we've seen big players, Kingman and Frank Howard and Winfield and guys like that, but this guy may be the best of all.
Among the really gigantic guys, I think you're right. To hit 330, that's Frank Howard's a perfect example. He hit the longest home runs you've ever seen. It was just a physically imposing guy, just an awesome presence. And Judge is like that. Judge, I think they took a shot next to Simone Biles. I thought Simone Biles was like 3 feet tall, which she might actually be, but
she may be.
Yeah, she might be 3 feet tall, but good grief, this guy. And Caitlin Clark went in there and was charmed by Judge. He's a terrific guy too. I mean, none of this stuff bothers him. The attention. He's already set the Yankee home run record, so I mean he's golden, but a really terrific guy, and really I hate to say it because he's from around here, but he was born to be a Yankee.
Yeah, and he could hit 60. He may hit 60 this year, which still is a big mark for me. So what do the Giants do here? I mean, they've got Snell today. He's like Koufax was. If he's on, he could pitch a no-hitter, and then the question is, well, did he win? But you got the good matchup today. Yesterday was 2-0, almost no hit again. What can the Giants do here to turn this thing around?
Well, they're going to have to pitch. I don't think anybody would think that they're all of a sudden going to be crushing people at the plate. I mean, Birdsong was really good. He got 3 early strikeouts with the curveball, which is about as good as you can throw it. 2 strikes, he'll throw that on 3-2 count. He got 3 of those, and next thing you know, he blows away Rooker with a high fastball. And then he strikes out Langoliers on a looking with a fastball. He was really, really good. I mean, I sure hope I sure hope we don't see him go back down to the minors. That just can't happen. He's really got good stuff. Robbie Ray's just a big question mark. If you come out hitting people and walking people, that's a game that's going to get away from the Giants. So they're not sure what's going on there. The rotation is so promising, but it has so many question marks. And Harrison, I really like Harrison. Every time he goes out there, I think he's going to be really, really good. And he is good usually at some parts of the games, but then it'll kind of get away from him. He still has a little bit of command issues. So, it's Webb and Snell for sure, and beyond that, you got the talent, and we'll just have to see if you get the consistency out of those guys.
Yeah, and as I brought it up with Woe this morning, Lamont Wade, 21 for 104. And he's got, you pointed it out, and Andy Baggerly did too. He's got 2 RBIs his last 33 games. Come on.
Yeah, he's completely lost his presence at the plate. I can't see where anybody would fear him. I mean, the on-base percentage means nothing if you're not driving people when they're out there to be driven in. That's too bad. He's hanging on by a thread a little bit in terms of his reputation.
Yeah, and this Diaz is out there. Colorado let him go, the catcher, and Bailey is 3 for 49, and as I say, 3 for August, basically. Why don't the Giants go out and, they sign people right and left. Why not try to get this guy in here and say, okay, we need you to catch for 6 weeks, and we need some offense? I don't understand it.
Well, I think that would be basically giving up on Bailey for the season. I can't see him doing that. He's so well regarded, and his defense is so good. But once again, for the second straight year, he's disappeared late, and you can't do that. I really thought that he learned something from last year when he had fatigue, and even his throwing arm went bad on him, and he wasn't hitting, and we're kind of seeing that same hitting slump now. I mean, I agree. I think they'd get a huge boost from a catcher who can hit. But, Bailey's, he's kind of a mainstay on this club. I mean, I don't see it.
124 he's hitting with 160 on base and 146 slugging.
Yeah.
I don't know. Estrada's 4 for 11 in 3 games. I'd have him up here. Get him back. I think that would help, too. And I'd put McRae behind Fitzgerald and get Wade out of that 2 spot. Put McRae in there and hope that he could just put the bat on the ball. If he hits a ground ball, he's going to beat it out.
Well, yeah. I mean, the idea of Fitzgerald, and you mentioned in April when now in August, we're going to want this guy Fitzgerald and Grant McRae at the top of the order. Okay, that's going to be our salvation. I mean, who could have predicted that? But McRae he creates a lot of excitement. And meanwhile, it's 2 games. He could have been thrown out at second there, and if he tries that a few times, he will be at the wrong time. It was a pretty close play, and the next guy might throw him out. He does have great speed. He put up some huge stolen base numbers in the minors. He's got that going. He's got some charisma. But he hit 242 in the system last year over a couple of teams, and this is his 5th season in the minors. So I mean, you got to hit the brakes a little bit on him until you see him produce. I mean, we see this all the time. Casey Schmidt, Matos. Oh my goodness, you can't get him out, and then next thing you know, you can.
Well, you got to win a game today, and if his speed can help you win a game today, I'd take a chance.
That's right. It's all about today.
Yeah, it's about today. Historical note, I'm going to give you a different one today than what I thought. It is the heavenly birthday of Roberto Clemente today. But, Bruce, I saw a clip yesterday on one of the shows of a throw he made from the right field corner.
Yeah.
In Baltimore. It was a World Series, and and he threw it from the right field corner to the plate on a fly. And kept Belanger like at second or third base.
I don't think he had his proper balance either. He just wheeled around and fired that thing. I mean, I've got that play in my head. I know exactly what you mean. And, over the years since Clemente, we've seen so many right fielders with great arms, guys you haven't really heard of. So look at that throw. Good grief, And but Clemente, I don't know. He had so much style, and he did it in such big moments, like the World Series. If we want I want him in right field for me. I mean, I just do. I want Mays in center, and I want Clemente in right, and then I'm going to take my chances. But and the throw, the throw was his arm was so great, and it always was great. and his hitting was very distinctive too. Incredible right field power. He also had dead pull power. One of the first games I ever covered, and way back in the Santa Monica Outlook days, I watched him dead pull one at the old Three Rivers, just an insane rocket down the left field line. And I idolized Clemente back then. I was just out of college, and but one of my favorite stats, Marty, Clemente played in 14 World Series games, 60 and 71. Hit safely in every one of them.
Yeah, yep.
A god among men. I remember seeing him in the clubhouse, just, putting on his shirt, and it was royalty. That's the guy right there.
Well, great image. Very good. I wish more people could have seen him play. Yeah, he was spectacular. Spectacular. Well, all right. Good to talk with you. Thanks for hanging in, Bruce.
Hey, you bet, Marty. Talk next week.
Right. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. That is Bruce Jenkins. Ken Korach, one of the voices of the Oakland Athletics, back with us right after this.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Just a quick note about the rooftop restaurant at the Via Hotel, the Hotel Via across the street from the park. They do a wide variety of events on the rooftop, from weddings and birthdays to corporate retreats and special events, holiday events, and any other special occasion you can think of. With stunning 360 views of the skyline, Bay Bridge, East Bay, and of course Oracle Park, the rooftop at Via is truly one of the most unique event venues in San Francisco.
Everyone likes a party, but everyone loves a party at Original Joe's. With 3 private dining rooms, it's the perfect spot to hold your next big event. From christenings to corporate gatherings, we'll make your next party San Francisco special. Original Joe's, see you at the counter.
Orange and Black family, the godfather of Giants baseball now continues. This is Talkin' Baseball with Marty Laurie on KNBR, the sports leader.
What a pleasure to bring in the play-by-play radio voice of the Oakland Athletics as the captain, Ken Korach. Ken, how are you?
Good morning, Marty.
Well, glad to have you on today. And as we wrap up San Francisco Giants, Oakland Athletics, for me, it's a part of my heart. Everything I started was in the Oakland Coliseum 29 years ago. And for you, we met at that point. You had just come to the A's as well. So Giants A's a big part of both of our lives.
No doubt. And I know that, as you said, you got your start out here and you've had a wonderful career since then, of course, working for both ball clubs. But, 1996. And that was when Art Howe took over the ball club, and Terry Steinbach, who had that great year, set the A's the Oakland single-season record for home runs by a catcher in 96, was part of the A's Hall of Fame induction ceremony out here yesterday.
Boy, 37,000 at the park yesterday. Very exciting. And, folks should understand, I know there are nights when the crowds are not there, especially lately, but during the heyday, the place was wild. When Mount Davis was open, and Blake Snell said the last time he pitched, I think there were 54,000 there with Tampa Bay, 37,000 yesterday. The place jumps when people are in it.
There was incredible atmosphere out here yesterday, and the Giants fans, of course, come over. It adds to kind of a collegiate football kind of atmosphere in a way, Marty, but it was great. And Snell was referring to the 2019 wildcard game, which they has lost, as you know, to Tampa Bay, but they opened up Mount Davis. They took the tarps off the upper deck there, and 54,000. So it was rocking that day for sure.
Well, it was a very special day yesterday with the Hall of Fame celebration for the Athletics, and Raf was very moved by it, and he went and got some sound of some of the folks in there that were honored yesterday. So we're going to play one for you, and then you can comment on it. So, Raf, let's start with the great Hall of Famer, Bill King.
Well, we had actually 3 mileposts, Memorial Day, July 4th, and Labor Day. They came at a nicely spaced distance apart that I think gave fans and people an opportunity to evaluate where their team was and what they might be able to do. And then when you get to Labor Day, maybe you're out of it and you're sort of sagging. On the other hand, you say, oh, we got a month to go and we're on a stretch drive. And, of course, the big tradition, in those days, Sunday doubleheaders were a very common occurrence. Not every Sunday, but many Sundays. But always, it was a full slate of Major League doubleheaders on Memorial Day, July 4th, and Labor Day. And for a fan, a young kid who listened to the radio, that was an absolute festival. I'm going to get 2 games of the Cubs or the Cardinals because I lived halfway between St. Louis and Chicago, and sometimes I'd dial back and forth if they were both at home playing doubleheaders.
I love it. And you got to present Bill yesterday for the Athletics Hall of Fame. How about that?
It was a real emotional thing for me, Marty, and so deserving. And as I said during my little speech here at the ballpark, I don't think anybody meant more to the A's organization than Bill. You could argue that, and of course, with so many of the A's Hall of Famers out there on the field as part of the ceremony, and Rickey Henderson, I think, would be at the top of the list with so many others, but Bill, for 25 years, told the story of this organization, of the ball club every day, and as you like to say, he did it as an author would, and it was a book that Bill wrote with his words, and you just didn't want to put that down because he was such a great storyteller. And I know how much that Bill meant to you, Marty, and how intently that he would listen to your pregame shows. And when you got some validation from Bill, that meant the world to you.
Oh, it was a big deal. And I love doing the memories of the game. And I'd tell Bill, gee, I just ran into someone, from years ago. And, of course, this is now in the 90s and the early 2000s. And, of course, there were a lot more players around who came from the 40s or 50s. And Bill would get so excited about it, and it made me feel good. So, yeah, I loved him. Bill was a big part of my career. The other one was...
I was going to say that the A's Hall of Fame isn't just an Oakland Hall of Fame. It goes back to the days in Philadelphia. And Eddie Juice, who starred for the A's in their the last 7 or 8 years that the A's were in Philadelphia, he was also inducted into the Hall of Fame out here yesterday.
And we have Eddie Juiced. And Raph found this. Go ahead, Raph. Play Eddie Juiced.
Well, those years, of course, we had a pretty good ball club over there at Philadelphia. Our pitching was outstanding. And, of course, the rest of it had to come to fruition because we had a good infield. We set the double play record, which I insist to this day hasn't been recognized at all at any place in baseball history. Other than Philadelphia, they know that we had 217 double plays in one season. They said, well, every time we looked up, the bases were loaded. I said, yeah, that's great, but we still had to make them. But beyond that, I liked Philadelphia, and the people treated me very well. And I was fortunate enough to play decently over there and became an all-star and eventually became the manager of the ball club.
How about that?
That's great. That's really great. He was... Eddie Juice, if you look at some of his numbers, I think there was one year, Marty, where he walked 149 times. He had on-base percentages like 410, 420, 430, and many years he walked more times than he struck out. So, and as you know, he was born in San Francisco, went to Mission High, and when he passed away, he was living up in the Fair Oaks area. So he really made his mark in the game.
Yeah, I loved it. When he would show up at the park, I would sit down and interview him, and that's another one in our archives. Terry Steinbach was there yesterday, and, boy, a very integral part of everything that the A's accomplished, and, of course, a big part of the franchise. Here's something from Terry Steinbach.
You guys had such a good team. That World Series, what a strange World Series it was with the earthquake. 12 days off, come back. What was that like for the players?
It was very tough. It was like an emotional roller coaster ride because we were caught between two places. One, we were caught between being compassionate and sympathetic and caring for the families of people who had personal injuries as well as property damage and complete devastation. But we were also tugged the other way as professionals because we knew that after losing to the Dodgers in '88, how special a World Series is, and we were close. We were 2-0, and we didn't want to lose that edge. We didn't want to give up the ground that we had gained and worked so hard for, professionally speaking. But we had the devastation of the earthquake, so it was a tough roller coaster ride emotionally.
Nice to see him yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, one of the all-time great guys, as you know, and he's very modest, Marty, because in '96 hit 35 home runs, and I was complimenting him on that achievement, and he pointed up to Mount Davis. He was on the air with us in the 5th inning, and he pointed at Mount Davis and said, the only reason I did that was they had built Mount Davis that year, and the ball was carrying a whole lot better. But he was – I said for many years that I thought he was the best major league catcher in the Bay Area, A's and Giants, going back to when the Giants moved here in '58 and the A's in '68, and maybe until the advent of Buster Posey, because Buster obviously did so many remarkable things for the Giants.
Boy, that's a good question for the postgame show. The other one was Jose Canseco. Boy, that was interesting to watch him yesterday. Of course, a huge part of Oakland baseball, and he's very controversial in things that he did and said, but very emotional yesterday. Here we have something with Jose Canseco.
In 1991, when my brother was actually called up, I was with the A's. He came up with the A's, and we got to play together in one game. And ironically enough, in this one game, I hit a ball down the line. I was throwing out at second base, and I think my brother, his next at bat, hit the same ball down the line. He was throwing out at second base also. So it was kind of like something really, two twins hitting the ball at the same spot and being thrown out by the same guy at second base. So it was exciting.
How did Ozzie come up with you? How did all that happen with the A's in '91?
Well, he was in the minor leagues with the Oakland A's obviously. And I think Ricky Henderson at the time was hurt. He was on the DL. And they decided to bring him up. Even though he only had maybe 5 or 6 at-bats, I think in a span of, well, I think he was up there 9 or 10 days, I had hit probably 11 home runs, so I got really excited about that. And he got a few games playing there. But I can recall that one game where we both got thrown at second base.
Well, he was emotional yesterday, wasn't he?
It's amazing, and those tears were real. And I think for Jose, he was blown away when the A's called and said that they wanted to induct him into the Hall of Fame. And for someone like Jose, who knew that he was never going to get into the Baseball Hall of Fame at Cooperstown, Marty, this was incredibly special for him. He acknowledged the fans. His family was sitting in the front row of the family sections out on the field. And it was a real humbling experience for Jose, and just so genuine. And I think with all the inductees, one of the really special things about the day was to acknowledge the fans and knowing this is the last Oakland A's Hall of Fame ceremony here at the Coliseum as we get set today for the last Bay Bridge Series game between the Oakland A's and the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah, it's a shame. And, we've talked about it so many times on the air that this has happened. And I think that the biggest part for me is looking at the accomplishments of the Oakland Athletics over the years. And there were some years when it didn't work, but there were some years, 3 World Series in a row. In the 5 years, that dynasty, really, of being in the playoffs. And then, of course, the late 80s. And then, of course, with Art Howe and how things turned around in the 2000s. And then with Bob Melvin as time went on. It's been an incredible history for the Oakland Athletics.
And I've been really fortunate to be a big part of it, as you were, too, Marty. And since the A's, I started in 96, and beginning in 2000, the A's have been in the postseason 11 different years. And I'm about to go down, as soon as you and I are done, to interview Bob Melvin for our pregame show. And while Bo Mel, and as you know, the winningest manager in Oakland A's history, took the A's to the postseason 6 different times. So the history is very rich. And Tony La Russa, as Tony presented Canseco yesterday, went back and talked about the history of the franchise. And Tony is really the proper person to do that because he was a player. He came here from Kansas City. He had played for the A's as a spot player back in '67, but he was part of the club in the A's first year here in '68.
Yeah, he was. And he said a lot of nice things yesterday and the regrets of the franchise leaving. So I think it's important to point it out, and it's a loss not just for Oakland but for the entire Bay Area and certainly for the great fans from the East Bay and from Northern California. So I know they'll be in Sacramento for a few years, but it is a loss, and I'm glad we could take some time to talk about it today. One last thought I had about Steve Schott and Ken Hoffman. And Sam Spear was part of it. And Ray Fosse had such a big part of my life as a broadcaster and just getting to know him. But Ken Hoffman was co-owner of the A's, and he told me a story. He said, look, on my 80th birthday, I want to go to a Glacier and have a shrimp cocktail. And I said, boy, that's okay. That's a good thing for him. And last week, I was on top of a Glacier. And I forgot to bring the shrimp with me. And I said, well, I actually thought of Ken Hoffman.
You were up in Alaska.
That's
Not
correct.
only were you on top of a glacier, you were almost on the top of the world up there. So, yeah, that's a cool story. And
yeah,
Ken was a little reticent when it came to being a public face of the team. Steve Schott was much more out front. But they had a lot of success in the Schott and Hoffman ownership for sure.
Yeah, they did, and I had a lot of fun with them. And Ken Hoffman used to say, what should I do? Should I sign Giambi? Said, what do I know?
He was a colorful character for sure.
He was, but I thought of him last week with the shrimp cocktail. So,
you mentioned people like Sam Spear, as you know, Marty, because the baseball season is 6 months and 7 months if you include spring training, and people who go to the ballpark and people who work at a ballpark in any major league stadium during the course of a long season, it becomes part of a community. It becomes part of your family, and that's something we're really going to miss after all these years.
Yeah, unfortunate and didn't have to happen, but I'll leave it at that. So we'll go from there. All right, let's talk a little baseball today. Sears and Snell today. How do you feel about this one?
It's going to be a great matchup. Two left-handed pitchers. Obviously, Snell has been, you would know as well as anyone, that he's been almost unhittable since the 1st of July. I think the A's hope against Snell would be to work the count, get him into deep counts. Maybe you can get him up into a high pitch count, Marty, get him out after 5 innings or so, although he's been pitching much better than that recently. And J.P. Sears, one of the best games he has pitched this year for the A's was against the Giants on July 30th over in San Francisco. He's coming off a really good start last time out. So it's a beautiful day. It's warming up here. So the ball might be carrying pretty well at the ballpark, and they're expecting a big crowd. So we'll see what happens. But pretty good left-handed matchup today for sure.
No Marine Layer?
Marine Layer was here early. Like an idiot, I was out here at 7:30 this morning. And it was pretty cool. I interviewed Scott Emerson, the A's pitching coach, down in the old offices at about 7:45, and they came out and they were mowing the grass, and the grounds crew was out there, and it's really kind of cool and special, a little sentimental to be out that early when it's quiet, nobody's at the ballpark, and we should acknowledge Clay Wood and the grounds crew and the job they do at the Coliseum, Marty, because baseball players for decades now have raved about the playing surface here. It's just pristine. I don't remember the last time I saw a bad hop here at the Coliseum.
Yeah, you're right. And he did a great job and still does a great job. People should know your signature call, of course, is the lights taking effect, and you're an expert on the Marine Layer. That's why I bring it up.
Well, we would hope that they will not take effect today, my friend.
All right. I appreciate you having you on, and you've been an icon and really a wonderful, wonderful spokesperson for the Oakland Athletics and for baseball in the Bay Area. And I know it's not simple for you as well. So I'm glad to have you on. And it's A's Giants, and I know you'll have a great call today. So I appreciate you being on.
I've received a lot of support over the years from people like you. So thank you, Marty.
All right. That is the captain, Ken Korach. Boy, well, I'm glad that we could do this today. And talk about Oakland Athletics, San Francisco Giants, baseball in the Bay Area. There's that public trust when a baseball team comes to an area. It's just very hard to just pick it up and move it somewhere else. I think I'll say it forever that this didn't have to happen. That this was a franchise. This had a fan base. I just don't think they ran the business very well. And every time you had to do something that affected the fans, it was against the fans. And that's what I firmly believe. And I think if the business was run better, they could have made it happen. And people got greedy. And I think they wanted, the $1 billion this, the $1 billion investment, the $1 billion real estate deal, the $1 billion this and that. And there's more to baseball than that $1 billion. And I think it's a loss having the A's out of Oakland and out of our immediate Bay Area, whether they're in Sacramento for 3 years, 20 years, or whatever it may be. It did take a team out of a community, and that's a loss. That's a loss and didn't have to happen. So that's my thought for today. All right. Back with you next week. We've got early starts next week, I think 9 o'clock both Saturday and Sunday. The A's will be taking on the Mariners, but it's A's Giants today, the last Bay Bridge game in Oakland between the Giants and the A's. And then, of course, the White Sox come in for 3. Still a lot of baseball left to be played. And Raf did a great job today, and I appreciate going back in the archives for some of the things we did way back in the 90s and early 2000s, and that was very special for you to do that. So, Raf, thank you very much. All right, coming up next, our Giants pregame. We'll get back to baseball. And it's our Giants warm-up with Walter Icaboseta coming up next. Have a good day, everybody.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Another year of baseball, America's favorite pastime. Baseball is rich in tradition. It's full of history. And so are the Georgie Brothers. They've served the Bay Area for over 90 years. The 50,000-square-foot showroom, which I mention all the time, is full of some of the finest manufacturers of furniture, carpets, and window coverings. Now, here we go. One of the most popular furniture lines that I love, you know it, is Stressless. Stressless makes high-quality, comfortable furniture, including sectional sofas, love seats, single reclining chairs, as well as the famous Stressless chair and ottoman, and that's what I got. Starting August 9th, and running all the way until August 26th, there's a new Stressless promotion. We call it the Wing Promotion. During this sale, you'll receive a $500 instant savings on every Wing-style chair and ottoman in Paloma leathers. It's an unbelievable savings. This is one of the largest sales events Stressless Furniture offers throughout the year. So that's Georgie Brothers. It's Georgie Brothers Furniture. The showroom is in South San Francisco, the best source for home furnishings. Visit them at georgiebrothers.com. That's GIORGIBROS.com. And remember, tell them that Marty sent you. Experience the epitome of luxury and craftsmanship with Inicio Windows and Doors, another exciting product line from BMD Manufacturing. Inicio Windows and Doors sets the standard in ultra-premium European design. Wow. For the most demanding American building standards. Available both in steel and aluminum, they are meticulously engineered to elevate your living space to new heights of sophistication. Learn more about Inicio Windows and Doors today. Discover the perfect blend of European beauty and style with unwavering durability and strength. Visit InicioWindows.com. INICIO Windows.com. Inicio Windows and Doors, where European design meets American craftsmanship.
Seam heads, start cracking those peanuts and spitting those seeds, because gloves are soon to be popping.
He makes a headlong dive and makes the catch.
And bats are going to get cracking.
Blast one! Deep right field! Gone!
Welcome to KNBR's Giants Warm-Up.
Way back there! Goodbye!
On the sports leader.
What's up, Giants fans, and welcome to the Giants warm-up show. I'm your host, Walter Ricardo, taking you all the way up to first pitch, 107, the last time that you will see these two teams square off at the Oakland Coliseum in Oakland, California. Battle of the Bay, the last one. And yesterday, couldn't have went more terribly for the Giants. The Giants have historically have not fared well in the Bay Bridge series. Yesterday's loss gives them a total. They were already going to come in to the series and walk away with the losing record of the Bay Bridge series, but 71-76 with a minus 20 run differential in the Bay Bridge series. The A's they always get up for these series, man. And Osvaldo Bido, like that guy was just unbelievable yesterday. And the Giants, again, just had their offensive struggles, were unable to hit with runners in scoring position. And it's not just a problem that has been yesterday, this week, this month. It's been a problem that has come up time and time again against this Giants team. They just aren't able to get that big hit, right? And we know that this offense, and we'll talk about Blake Snell, he's on the mound today and trying to get the Giants back on the winning track. But when you look at to this offense, we know that they're not going to go up there and put up maximum numbers, right? We know they're not going to go up there. And I mean, how many times do they hit 10, get 10 hits in a game? I mean, it's been, I went back and looked from the beginning of July, from July 1, the Giants have only done that 8 times. That's a lot of games from then until now. Only 8 times, a lot of those times coming on the road and in that recent road trip in Washington and in Cincinnati. So, yeah, it's just, this isn't an offense that is going to put up a lot of crooked numbers. They're not going to put up a lot of runs. But what happens is when you have an offense that doesn't score a lot, every time that you have someone in scoring position, you need to maximize that opportunity. I mean, they don't have the quantity of hits, but they have to maximize every opportunity that they have with someone in scoring position. And yesterday they were 0 for 8. So again, yesterday, I believe it was Luis. I forget where Luis was calling from, Raph, if you remember, just chime in my ear, but Luis was calling yesterday when we were taking some calls on the warm-up show. And his big thing was, what is this Giants team's identity? And I think a lot for this season, the Giants have been trying to figure it out, right? But maybe it's staring us right in the face. The identity of this Giants team is a team that is anemic on offense. It is a team that cannot score with runners and cannot hit with runners in scoring position, but they pitched fantastic. I mean, yesterday, Hayden Birdsong, I was really concerned going into the game just because of his recent outings just were not good. He only pitched, I believe it was 6 1/3 innings, and gave up 12 earned runs in his last 2 starts. It just wasn't going good. And you know, when you look at Hayden Birdsong, and he's 22 years old and he's going through these growing pains, right? And he's learning how to pitch in the major leagues, which I think is valuable experience for a young kid, 22-year-old youngster on this staff. The same thing with Kyle Harrison. This experience that they're getting down the stretch is incredible, and it's going to take them far in their career. So I was a little bit concerned going into the matchup, being that Hayden Birdsong, maybe he was feeling a little bit of arm fatigue, and maybe the book was out on him, but he came in and he pitched a good game. I mean, he wasn't able to finish out the 5th inning, but his fastball looked electric. He was hitting guys with the elevated fastball, getting strikeouts on that, hitting 97 miles an hour. The changeup looked pretty good as well. And we all know about his curveball, just probably one of the best on this staff. So when you look at everything that Hayden Birdsong did and what was required of him, he did what he needed to do. Again, you wanted him to go longer. I understand that. Only went 4 2/3 innings, but he only gave up 1 run on 3 hits, 5 Ks. He did need 78 pitches to get through all of that. And the big problem with him was the walks. He did give up 3 walks in yesterday's game. But I believe that he pitched well enough to put this Giants team in a position to win. But the Giants were just unable to get across runs. And that's what the identity of this team is, unfortunately. I mean, we keep waiting for the big hit and for the timely hits that this Giants team, we know that they're not going to outscore, the Yankees and the Braves and the Dodgers. Like we know those offenses and what they bring to the table, but the Giants just have not been able to capitalize on their opportunities when they had it presented in front of them. But let's focus on the positive a little bit here, because I know I was droning on about the offense yesterday. We do have a little bit of good takeaways from yesterday's game. Hayden Birdsong, like we mentioned, he went out there and pitched 4 2/3 inning. Again, you'd like him to go 5, go 6. But for someone at this stage of his career, just the fact that he's able to go out there and compete, and he doesn't look shell shocked. He doesn't look overcome by the moments or anything like that. And just the fact that he's able to harness his arsenal, it's really good and vital to his development right now. So 4 2/3 innings yesterday, 1 run on 3 hits, 5 Ks. And Birdsong talked a little bit yesterday on his performance and what he would like to see moving forward.
Obviously, like to walk away with a win as a team, and things happen. I mean, it's baseball. As I always say, it's a hard sport. Not going to win all the time, but I'm happy I put up some zeros and gave us a chance. I obviously would like to finish the 5th and work into the 6th, maybe the 7th, and help the bullpen out a little bit, but things happen and need guys to come in when Bibb came in, he got an out. That's what mattered at that moment. So.
Yeah, Hayden Birdsong, I think he's wise beyond his years, just for him to have that composure and just to know to go out there and compete and give his team the best opportunity for them to win. I think that he did just that. Again, he wanted to go deeper. I know Giants fans would probably want him to go deeper, but it just wasn't in the cards yesterday. But Hayden Birdsong, really, that had to feel really good for him, especially going through this first kind of rough patch of his early career, to where, again, 6 1/3 innings, gave up 12 earned runs over his last 2 starts. And for him to go out there and put up zeros for a good portion of his outing and only gave up 1 run on 3 hits, that has to be feeling really good about his performance yesterday. And then the other positive is kind of a guy that kind of came out of nowhere. I wouldn't say necessarily coming out of nowhere, because I remember our now program director, Mike Holler, he'd be down in San Jose, and he would come back here and at the station and tell me about all the statistics from the San Jose Giants. And I remember years back that he was just talking about this kid, Grant McCray, that was just stealing bases left and right. So you were able to see now his speed kind of play dividends for this Giants team. Hopefully he's able to get on base. He had his first multi-hit game yesterday. And since his debut, he went 0 for 4 on his debut on Wednesday against the Braves. Hit a home run and hit a double, which would have been a single for a guy with average speed. He took that single and stretched it into a double. So Grant McCray is here, and I like to see the speed and defensive ability that he has. I think that's something that this Giants team, I mean, when you start talking about this team and looking around the clubhouse and the question of athleticism, right? Who is that? Who is that outside of Jung-Hoo Lee, who is no longer on the team this year because of his injury that knocked him out, right? Who else has that athleticism? Tyler Fitzgerald, right? And he's someone that wasn't on this team at the beginning of the season. He's come on late, and he's actually been paying dividends for the Giants as well. He's one of the hotter hitters for the Giants. Didn't get a hit yesterday, but he did get a walk, so he extends his on-base streak to 9 games, but his hitting streak is now gone. So hopefully he can start anew today. But Grant McCray, again, bringing that speed, bringing that defense, and Bob Melvin was talking highly about his young outfielder.
Yeah, look, I mean, he's off to a great start. He's playing with a lot of confidence. So his speed, his defensive ability, made a really nice play in center field. Certainly looks the part. You know, he's fast and having good at-bats right now against guys he's never faced before.
Yeah, it's really encouraging to see that Grant McCray is able to get on base, and we know his speed, and he was just ripping it up in San Jose. I believe he had 34, 35 steals when he was in San Jose for an extended period of time until he got called up to Richmond. So Grant McCray, someone to kind of keep an eye on and see what the Giants have with him, because again, if you're trying to get athletic, if you're trying to get better defensively, Grant McCray does fit that mold for the Giants moving forward. It's just a matter of, can his bat come around to where he's not just a pinch runner off the bench because of his speed or a late inning defensive replacement. We'll have to see what his bat can bring at the major league level. Raph, let's go ahead and drop down to cut F really quick, because I do want to hear from Grant McCray. It's really quick, but I do want to hear from Grant McCray to where he was talking about his extra base hit that he stretched from a single into a double. He just has, I would say, game-changing speed if he's able to get the bat on the ball. So this was Grant McCray post-game talking about his double.
Yeah, as soon as I hit that, I was like, get two, just because Leday's a lefty, so he's going to have to make a spin move throw and, have to make a good throw. And, I got in there and beat it. So.
Yeah, so he just has that mentality to where, I mean, he kind of has the youngsters mentality, right? Is that you're gonna go all out, you're gonna do whatever it takes to kind of stick in the major leagues and make your mark on this team. And I mean, you kind of remember going back to Luis Matos, right? He kind of had that mentality in the outfield, but he isn't as great defensively as Grant McCray is, to where but it's all about the confidence, right? You got to have that confidence at this level, and that's what I like to see about these young guys. We go back to Hayden Birdsong and his start yesterday. He has the confidence, he has the presence on the mound. And then you look at Grant McCray, he had that confidence. You look at that stretch of games for Luis Matos back early in May, right? He had that confidence in, I belong in the big leagues. That's huge for these young guys. And the fact that a lot of the young players for this Giants team, they do exhibit that trait, that you have confidence and unshakable confidence at that. That's a huge thing moving forward as well. So Raph, let's go to cut E. I know I jumped around there, but I do want to highlight his defensive ability, right? Because you have to have that mentality on the base paths, to where he just said that he hit it and he immediately thought double, because he knows and he's confident that he can stretch that into a double. And the same thing goes for his defensive play. I mean, with that kind of bloop into center field in I believe it was in the fifth inning, with Grant McCray, or fourth inning. Sorry. It was in the fourth inning, where he came in on a ball, had a great first step, and he really showcased his speed in the outfield and his defensive ability and his ability to not really care, which is a little concerning, but he is young, right? He's young to where he can put his body on the line, and that's all about the mentality that Grant McCray brings to the outfield.
I said it on the day I got called up. I'm here to play my game, and my defense can help the team win. And I'm gonna put my body on the line to make the plays for this team. And I'm sure Hayden really enjoyed that.
I don't know about you guys, but I love to hear. I love to hear that type of mentality, especially from a young guy, to know and to have the knowledge and the awareness of when to kind of pick your moments and when to kind of just go all out and put your body on the line. I love that mentality, especially for a young guy, right? I mean, he's going to go out there and try to make his mark on this team, which I think in a small sample size, he's been here for since Wednesday. So, I mean, but so far he is impressing. He's hitting 4 for 10, 400 average. And he has the home run. He has that extra base hit, two games in a row with the extra base hit with that home run and the double yesterday. So we'll have to see where he can follow up on that. He's in the 9-hole again today in center field. Now that's a lot of the positive, right? That's my takeaways from yesterday. And that's kind of It's where it ends, unfortunately, is because this Giants team, when you look at the offense, and we were talking about Grant McCray had 2 of the 4 hits that the Giants had in totality yesterday. The other 2 came from Mark Hanna. Literally the 2 guys that were not on this roster in August or prior to August, they recorded all the hits for the Giants yesterday, which is incredible. It's not in a good way. So this Giants team, they go through spurts of where they don't put together a lot of offense. They don't put together a lot of hits. And again, I mentioned earlier that how many times do you see the Giants get 10 hits in a game, right? And that is an indicator of how this machine of an offense, if you want to call it that, how a machine can move and how you can get runs across. And the Giants, since July 1st, only did it 8 times, has only done it 8 times. And I want to say of those 8 times, 3 of them came in the last 2 weeks. So it's really hard to score runs when you're only getting 4 hits. But when it happens continuously, it's a bad look. And then when you have guys finally get on base and get into scoring position and you don't have the ability to hit them in, it's really frustrating, especially for pitchers, right? I mean, when you have Hayden Birdsong going out there and competing and doing what he needs to do to put his team in a position to win, you'd want the offense to come through for them. And the same goes for today. I mean, in the 7 starts, there's no question that Blake Snell has been unbelievable since he came back from the injured list. And we'll talk more about Blake Snell later in the show. Coming up next, actually, talk about Blake Snell and what is his importance to this Giants team moving forward. But when you look at his 7 starts, he has an ERA of under 1. He has a sub-1 ERA. That is incredible. But the Giants only score 3.14 runs per game in those games. And a lot of those games, a lot of those runs came late. And of those 7, Blake Snell was only in line for the win. Actually, he was in line for the win, I believe, 3 times, if I remember correctly, but he got 2 wins out of it. So this Giants offense really needs to kick it into gear. We've been talking about it. And, you know, this is a series, the Battle of the Bay. This is a series that the Giants really need to capitalize on. They need to win today. This is a must-win game for the Giants. And I think every time that Blake Snell is out there, it is a must-win day for the Giants. So this offense really needs to get it going. But with runners in scoring position, it just hasn't happened. I didn't go back and look throughout the whole season or go back to July 1st or anything like that. I just looked in the short term. I looked to this week alone, starting last Sunday. So Sunday to Sunday, from the Detroit Tigers loss where they could have gotten the sweep to yesterday, right? We go through all those games, and the Giants are 9 for 57. That's a 157 batting average. That is not winning baseball. That is not winning baseball. No matter how much your starters go out there and throw up zeros, you have to be able to score. You have to be able to knock those guys in. So we will continue to talk about the Giants today. They try to get back on the winning track. Blake Snell is on the mound. He has been phenomenal, and we will talk about his importance of this Giants team, on this Giants team, moving into September, going down the stretch of this season, his importance and beyond. Does it all end in September? We'll talk about that and get your thoughts. 808 KNBR, do you want Blake Snell on this team? Is he needed on this team next year in 2025? We will discuss on the other side. You are listening to the Giants Warm-Up Show on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
He's ready. Snell with the 3-2 pitch. It is swung on and missed. Strike three. Got him with the high fastball. Wow. 97 miles an hour. His 11th strikeout. And here comes Bob Melvin.
It's almost time for hot dogs, peanuts, cold beers, and orange and black baseball. Our Giants warm-up rolls on the sports leader.
All right, trying to channel some of that positive energy with Blake Snell on the mound. We saw what he did on Monday to start off that huge, crucial series against the Atlanta Braves. 11 Ks, you heard it there, his 11th before he was pulled from Bob Melvin. Threw 114 pitches, the same number that he threw in his no-hitter, 114. So needed a lot of pitches to get through that one. Hopefully he doesn't need that many pitches, but if he's going 9, if he's going 8, you know, some magic going on in late in the game, that's fine. Go 114. That's perfectly okay with me. But wow, what a great day for baseball. What a great day for broadcast at the studios of the Sports Leader. You got the final Battle of the Bay series, the Bay Bridge series here on KNBR, and a little bit later this evening you'll be able to hear some 49er football on KGO. So it's going to be a really fun day for the Bay Area sports fan today. But we hope that for the San Francisco crowd, that Blake Snell can go out there and do what he's done for majority of the time since he's come back from the injured list, going back all the way to July 9th. This guy has pitched phenomenal. I mean, he had a no-hitter slapped in the middle of that, but literally in his seven starts, he has only allowed runs and five total runs ever since July 9th. 5 total runs. So he's in his 7 starts, he's only allowed runs in 2 of those 7 games. So Blake Snell has really been on his game coming out of that injured list on July 9th. So when you look at Blake Snell and you look at what he can do for this team, do you want him back on the Giants? I mean, I don't even know if that's the right question. It's just, are you willing to pay max dollar for Blake Snell? Because I think that the interest for Blake Snell is that he would like to be here. I mean, I've heard it countless times from the Chronicle, Susan Slusser, and I spoke with her actually for the Rounding Third and King podcast that airs on the weekend. I think that it was on yesterday. On KNBR, and it was on 10:50 this morning. So if you missed any of that, go over to the KNBR podcast page. But spoke with Susan Slusser, and she pretty much said that that Blake Snell likes pitching here, that he likes pitching here. So that if there is a possibility that he likes it here, he likes pitching for Bob Melvin, he likes his pitching staff. Obviously, the offense, he would like to get some more run support, I think. But pitching in San Francisco, and I just think that he fits. Like, you know, when a guy comes from the outside and comes onto this team, the one person that I think of immediately is Hunter Pence. Like, when he came over, it was just like, this guy is San Francisco. like he gets it. He understands the vibe. And I not to the level of Hunter Pence, because he was so out there and so energetic, but I just feel that Blake Snell likes this area because he grew up around Seattle. I don't know if he was in Seattle, but in the Seattle area. And I've been up in Seattle, and I don't know if anyone else has been up in Seattle, but it's kind of a little bit of the same vibe, same weather. So, I mean, naturally, if you're not in Seattle, be in the Bay Area. So I would like to see Blake Snell be here for the foreseeable future and moving beyond this season, because I don't want his last start to be in September against the Cardinals. You know, I would like to see a full season of Blake Snell, because we're just getting a glimpse of what this guy can do. Obviously, the back of the baseball card suggests that his second half is just stellar in comparison to his first half, and we know how his first half started. And really, prior to him coming off of the injured list, that signing was looking like a disaster. But now I think when you throw in just the string of incredible starts since coming back, and you mix in the no-hitter, I mean, he has been a difference maker on this team. I mean, imagine where the Giants would be if they did not have Blake Snell. And that's kind of where my thought process goes with thinking about not only this year, but thinking about next year and the years after that. I know that Carson Wisenhunt is in the minor leagues in Sacramento. He's been dealing with, I believe it was a foot injury, and he had a rehab start not too long ago in San Jose. But, you know, where's his development at? How can he translate to the major leagues? That's a big question. And then Landon Roop was someone that was being discussed a lot. So they have arms in the minor league system, but none of them are Blake Snell. I mean, let's just be honest. None of them have that ceiling. Maybe Carson Wisenhunt, but we haven't seen it in Sacramento for a long period of time. He's having a rough time in Sacramento. I believe his ERA is mid fours right now. Off the top of my head, I have to look that up when we break. I'll get you the numbers. But Carson Wisenhunt, he's in the system. Reggie Crawford was supposed to be a starter. Now he kind of looks like a late inning leverage guy, but maybe he gets switched over to being a starter. They stretch him out. They have a lot of arms. Is the point of what I'm trying to say? But none of them can be what Blake Snell is at this moment. It's just a matter of, do you fork over that money? Do you want Blake Snell to come back? And do you want him to be a Giant beyond September? I think that's the big question. Because, yeah, you would love to see the Giants get into a postseason matchup with Blake Snell and with Logan Webb. I just don't know if that is a possibility going down the stretch of the season. There's a lot of baseball to be played. They have to get on the right foot today against the Oakland Athletics, get that last game of this Bay Bridge series, and then they have to carry that momentum. I mean, this is such a huge game today, but as we know, as the season goes on, the next game is bigger than the next, and it just keeps going down the line. But this can be the catalyst to where you ride momentum, you get some offense against the Giants or against the A's. Giants get some offense and start feeling good. They go back home. They got the White Sox coming in. This could be a nice stretch of games before that schedule just turns daunting going into the month of September. But Blake Snell can really set the tone. I mean, that's what you have, and that's why I think he's so important, is that you have a guy like Logan Webb in Blake Snell that can set the tone and show these young guys, especially like for the development. I just like to know with Kyle Harrison, right? He's a lefty. Blake Snell is a lefty. You'd like to see if there's any type of mentorship that's going on behind the scenes with Kyle Harrison and Blake Snell. I'm not trying to imply, but I'm just saying, you know, being that they're lefties and Kyle Harrison knows who Blake Snell is and he's young and still trying to grow as a pitcher, and he still has a lot of developing to be had. He needs to figure out if he can pick up that curveball that Blake Snell throws, or any of the off-speed pitches, because that's a big thing with Kyle Harrison in moving forward, is that he needs to develop his off-speed arsenal. It can't just be the fastball every single time, especially if you're sitting around the mid to low 90s. That's just not going to cut it. That's just literally not going to cut it. But let's go out to the phone lines. I want to hear from you. 808 KNBR. That is 808 5627 415 808 5627. Go ahead and give me a call. I want to get your thoughts on Blake Snell. And if you're going out to the game today, I want to get your thoughts on the Bay Bridge series. This is the last one that we're able to witness as far as it looks. This is the last one that we're going to be able to witness in Oakland. So I want to get your thoughts. If you're going out to the game, call in 808 KNBR. I want to get your thoughts on the Bay Bridge series and how you feel about this team and the thoughts of Blake Snell, whether you are all in for paying max dollar and bringing him back next year, and the importance. Because if you don't get Blake Snell, the alternative is, who's more important, Blake Snell or Matt Chapman? I think I don't know if you can have both. Ideally, you would, but that would be the big question, is if you can't get Blake Snell, do you make sure that you keep Matt Chapman? Because I think that he's really important, because I mentioned all of the arms in the minor league system that can come in and start in the next year or so, in Carson Wisenhunt and Landon Rube, all those guys. You don't necessarily have that kind of streamline of talent at third base. So maybe Matt Chapman then turns, who's the number one priority, I guess, going into the offseason? Is it Matt Chapman or Blake Snell? I'd love to hear from you, 808 KNBR. But let's go out to the phone lines. We have Mike on the line. What's up, Mike? Welcome back to the warm-up show, man.
A beautiful, crisp morning in San Francisco. Kind of refreshing there, too. Beautiful day for the Battle of the Bay, Battle by the Bay, tribute to the 1989 San Francisco Giants and Oakland A's. I want to pay homage to the A's today, but I'm going to start off by just taking you back to spring training from that particular film. When the Giants come to town, it's bye-bye, baby. So
yeah, dude. Hell yeah. I thought you were going to keep going. I was getting ready just to put down the mic. I thought you were going to finish the song.
That's all I got.
It's all good.
We got. I just want to pay homage, honoring the A's today.
Yeah, go ahead. What's up?
And talk about just what a season they had that year. So I'm just going to go through the lineup. There's numbers, and I know we all love the back of baseball cards. That's where we all started. That are just so shocking that it blows my mind to this day. Ricky Henderson, who came over from the Yankees that year, posted 70 walks, 39 Ks, 52 stolen bags, and 306 at-bats. Harney Lansford hit 336, 3 points higher than the legendary season that Will Clark had for us. And you know what? He had 37 stolen bases as well. And no one would figure, looking at Carney, he was a fast guy, but he had grease lightning speed. Mark McGwire hit 33 big flies, 95 RBIs. Dave Parker with the mustache and, he had a little facial hair. He had 22 homers, 97 ribbies. R.I.P. Hendu, Dave Henderson, 15 homers, 80 ribs. Terry Steinbach, one of my favorite catchers of all time, had a 273 batting average. He was always known for wearing the batting helmet with the mouth guard on it. Dan Magic Man Javier. He couldn't hit a home run yet, not until he came here, but he had 12 stolen bases that year. Mike Gallegos and Walt Weissman, shortstop. Weiss won Rookie of the Year. Gallegos was from California. Canseco was off the bench, hit 17 homers and 258 at-bats. Luis Polonia had 13 stolen bases. The staff had Dave Smoke Stewart, Stu. Stu had posted 21 wins with a 3.32 ERA that year. Mike Moore was brought in from Seattle with his devastating forkball, a pitch you don't see in Major League Baseball anymore. He was also the guy, Tony La Russa, the great Tony La Russa, threw in there twice against us in the World Series. Moore posted a 2.61 ERA. Struck out everybody. They had Bob Welch, who later years had one of the best pitching seasons of all time. Their unsung hero was Storm Davis. He had 19 wins that year. Anytime they ran into trouble, Rick Honeycutt was who they went to. Todd Burns was great out of the pen as well. And Eck, 156 ERA, 33 saves, final out in the World Series. You guys know and love the Eck. I want to pass it to you, but I also want to just chime in about Snell.
Yeah, sure.
We have the need for 3 bases on our staff, and we have a lot of 22-year-olds on this team, and I think Snell is a must-sign. He's got the dog in him. He's a dog man, and he's a cool cat too. So that's my take.
He kind of just fits, right, Mike? I mean, he just kind of fits the mold of what a Giant is.
He's very San Francisco.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess, Mike, before I let you go, so you would want Blake Snell. I mean, there's no question. I'd be surprised if anyone called in and said no, like you don't want Blake Snell beyond this season. But who would you prioritize more? Would you prioritize Matt Chapman or would you prioritize Blake Snell?
I prioritize Snell because not only is he a great second half pitcher, but you want your guys rolling when it comes playoff time. And we all see what he's doing. And that's all I got to say.
No, dude, I appreciate the call as always, Mike, and yeah, enjoy the Battle of the Bay. You heading out to the game?
No, it's me. Just hanging out with Dad. We'll watch it at home. All
right.
Gonna enjoy it, but thanks, my man.
Yeah, should be a good one, man. All right, Mike. Thanks for the call, man. Really appreciate it. And yeah, the Battle of the Bay, the last one, it should be a good one today with Blake Snell, and he's really been the kind of catalyst. I mean, the guy that goes out there and puts up zeros unlike no other outside of Logan Webb is Blake Snell. So that's what you got for the Giants. We do have a lineup. I'll get you that lineup on the other side. We'll talk about this Giants team going into this final Battle of the Bay Bridge Series. What do you guys prefer to call it? I kind of been going back and forth. I've usually called it Battle of the Bay. Raph, what do you kind of go to? You go Battle of the Bay or you go Bay Bridge Series?
I like Bay Bridge Series. I mean,
Series? Right.
There's not too much battling happening lately between the A's and the Giants.
It's been one-sided. It's been one-sided. You are right about that, Raph. We will talk about that on the other side. Battle of the Bay Bridge Series, whatever you want to call it. On the other side, Blake Snell on the mound, and we'll talk about JP, Mr. John Patrick Sears, going for the A's because the Giants did see him on July 30th on that, it seems like so long ago, on that trade deadline where the Giants just went out there. Well, I'll tell you what they did against JP Sears. On the other side, you're listening to the Giants warm-up show on KNBR, the sports leader.
Now back to the show built for the orange and black family. This is Giants Warm-Up on KNBR, the sports leader.
All right, welcome back to the Giants Warm-Up Show. I'm your host, Walter Carlseta, taking you all the way up to 1:07 first pitch, the last game in the Bay Bridge Series, Battle of the Bay. And Blake Snell is on the mound. He has been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal since coming back from the IL on July 9th. Has just been virtually unhittable, literally unhittable against the Cincinnati Reds to start off the month. And his ERA in August, I think, is just a tad above 1, because he got a couple runs, gave up a couple runs in Washington. But let's go out to the phone lines really quick, pulling it up. We got Joe in San Jose, wants to talk about the Giants starting pitcher today. What's up, Joe?
Hey, I'm Walter. Okay, so basically what I would do with Blake Snell is I would just not play around with him getting into free agency at all. I would start the bidding with him at 4 years, $160 million. That's $40 million a year. I think that with his fit in the Bay Area and all that, it would work out well for him and be great for the Giants. Then you've got a 1-2 punch of Webb and Snell for the next 4 years, and a lot of young players around him that are going to be cheap. They've already gotten rid of Cobb's contract, which was $10 million. Conforto's going to be gone next year. That's $18 million. Yastrzemski, they could get rid of him too and bring in the younger guys. That's that's $36 million right there. And they got rid of Soler. There's over $50 million right there that they cut off the payroll for next year, and so they can afford to pay Snell. And moving forward, that's what I would do before he even hits free agency.
Yeah, I mean, ideally that is the route, right? I mean, you would want to have him extended and beyond this year. And Joe, thank you so much for the call. Call in anytime. You'd want to have him beyond this season, right? But let's just face facts. He is a Scott Boras client, and Boras does not make contract extensions during the season. There is going to be a bidding war. Now, hopefully that there is a little bit of goodwill, but I mean, we're talking about dollars here. We're talking about money, and Blake Snell will go. I mean, I'm not going to speak for him, but you know, if you're going to take more money, you can go to that team. But it's going to be a bidding war, and hopefully that there has been a lot of goodwill, and he likes this team. He likes to play for Bob Melvin. He likes his other starting pitchers in his rotation, and maybe you can get him back. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this Giants team attacks that, because Joe was talking about it. He does have a lot of importance, right? I would say that Matt Chapman also has equal, maybe even a little bit more importance on the position player side, just because if there isn't someone else in the minor leagues right now, unless you're going to go out in free agency and third base, I don't think that there is a huge market. And then that's the thing when you look to free agency. If Blake Snell is in free agency next year, he's by far the best option in free agency. So whoever is trying to maximize on their window of trying to win a World Series, they're going to throw dollars at him. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the Giants can. I mean, you're going to have to overpay, right? I mean, that's kind of what happens when you get into these bidding situations. They're going to have to overpay. So I would love to see Blake Snell in a Giants uniform beyond this season, because again, we've talked about it, and I think we've fantasized about it way too much. Maybe not enough, but we have fantasized about the prospect of having Blake Snell and Logan Webb, and then you have another year of development with Birdsong. You have another year of development with Kyle Harrison. Oh yeah, you have Robbie Ray further removed from Tommy John surgery. Then you have that in a playoff series that just makes this team look really good going into it. I know that we've talked about the Giants' offensive struggles, and they'd still have to figure that out, but at least you have one piece of the puzzle, or I guess 5 pieces of the puzzle when you have a starting rotation that can be really effective going into a postseason series. Let's go to a lineup really quick here before we get out to the Giants and A's pregame show. It's a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of the same, but you got Tyler Fitzgerald hitting leadoff today at shortstop. He is leading off today. You have Mark Canha in there, and there's a reason for that, is that he has the most at-bats and I guess the best success against J.P. Sears. He's batting second. At first base, you have Elliot Ramos batting third and left. Matt Chapman batting cleanup at third base. Jahar Encarnacion at DH. Casey Schmidt, second base. Mike Yastrzemski batting seventh in right field. Patrick Bailey at catcher batting eighth. And Grant McCray in center field. And he did this on Thursday against the Braves.
McCray after Casale's fly ball out. McCray swinging. He belts one. Deep right center field. Way back there. Harris at the warning track at the wall. Goodbye! The first major league home run for Grant McCray into the Atlanta bullpen. What a moment for the rookie.
What a moment indeed for Grant McCray, who is batting ninth today in the lineup. And that home run is sponsored by Abundant Life Weight Loss. Call 925-594-7110 to start your journey today. That's your detailed measurement, sponsored by Abundant Life Weight Loss. Grant McCray hit his first home run on Thursday against the Braves. Jesse Chavez, who was also an Oakland A. So we kind of had our precursor to the Bay Bridge series with Jesse Chavez in there, and Matt Olson and Sean Murphy and all those guys. The home run was 404 on the tape measure and had a exit velocity of 102.1, 26 degree launch angle. So that's everybody. That is your detailed measurement, sponsored by Abundant Life Weight Loss. And let's go out really quick before we wrap things up here on the Giants warm-up. Let's go out really quick to the standings update, sponsored by Alameda County Probation Department. Visit joinacpd.org for a career that matters. And when you look to the standings, the Giants did lose again yesterday, so they now have dropped to a whopping, it's not really a whopping, but they have dropped to a 4 games behind the third and final wild card of the Atlanta Braves. They are 4 games back. In between the Braves and the Giants is the Mets. They are 1 game back of the Braves, and sitting there atop the National League wild card standings, you have the San Diego Padres, who just continue to win ball games. They are now firmly 1 game ahead of the Diamondbacks at 69 and 55. Padres are at 70 and 54. So that is your standings update, sponsored by Alameda County Probation Department. Join acpd.org today for a career that matters. Today is the final game in Oakland for the Battle of the Bay series. The Giants will be going up against J.P. Sears, and I did tease earlier that J.P. Sears, if you remember, when the Oakland Athletics came into San Francisco on July 30th, J.P. Sears was the starter for that first game, and he did his thing. He did what a starter does, and he had his career high in strikeouts against the Giants, or I'm sorry, not career high, season high. Career high was the year prior. He had 11, but he had a season high this year with 9 Ks in that matchup just a couple of weeks ago. So J.P. Sears goes for the A's. And on the Giants side, you have Blake Snell, who has just been unbelievable in the month of August. He has a 1.27 ERA, 30 Ks in 3 starts this month. He has been the guy for the Giants, and you'd love to see him here for the Giants beyond this season. And Blake Snell is going to kind of go out there and do what he does and just put up zeros. He's done that repeatedly since he has returned from the injured list. So coming up, the Giants pregame show. Not sure who we're going to be talking to, but we will be going to the booth at some point, and we will talk about the final Battle of the Bay at the Coliseum. Shout out Derek Papa on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.